Good evening, everyone. The time is 5:34, and today is Tuesday, June 3rd, and I'm going to call this special council meeting to order. Will the city secretary please call roll?
Mitchell. Heiser.
Here.
Rizzo.
Present.
Zuniga.
Present.
Harris.
Here.
McKinney.
Mark, are you frozen?
No.
Okay.
There.
There you go.
Can you hear me? I hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tobias.
Present.
Is that everybody? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members present. We have a quorum. Up next is citizen comment. If there is anyone who wishes to come up to speak, please fill out a form and hand it to the city secretary. I have one, but before I call that, I would, impromptu like to remind the room that citizen comment, that there are rules regarding citizen comment, and any sort of personal issues that come up or issues relating to city personnel are not allowed to be brought up in city council because they are not city council related decisions to be made. Those are to be taken up with the city manager. And with that, I will call up Yvonne Flores-Kale.
Good evening, members of council. I stand today to express my concern regarding an incident that transpired during a recent council meeting, an incident that should raise significant questions about your commitment to free speech and the integrity of our democratic process. During the meeting, I attempted to share my personal experience regarding the ethics complaint process. However, I was abruptly censored by the mayor and forced to stop speaking. Direction given by the mayor to the police officer was to cut off my microphone. What I found particularly troubling was that not one council member called a point of order or paused to inquire why I was being silenced. This lack of intervention speaks volumes about the dynamics at play within this council. I want to be clear. I do not lose my First Amendment right simply because an elected official finds my comments uncomfortable or disagreeable. Each of you has publicly testified you are not influenced by the mayor or his authority. Yet the actions taken during that meeting contradicted those statements. If you are truly independent, then why did no one stand up for my right to speak? Let's consider letter H, number 5 of the Rules of Council, which states the mayor or chair is responsible for ensuring the orderly conduct of participants during city council meetings. This rule prohibits personal attacks, discussions, and personal matters, the use of profanity, and any disorderly conduct that violates state or local law. Mr. Heiser, are you busy? Thank you. My comments did not fall into the purview of any of these categories. In fact, I was sharing my personal experiences, something that should be protected under our right of free speech. By censoring my remarks, each of you risk violating not only the spirit of this rule, but also the fundamental First Amendment rights of every citizen who wishes to voice their concerns or share their experiences. Which member of this council has ever questioned that? Moving forward, it is imperative that each of you reflect on the legality of this incident. Although you each proclaimed that you are not influenced by the mayor, your actions during that meeting suggested otherwise. As elected leaders, you set and uphold the principles of free speech to ensure that every council member and resident of our city feel empowered to speak without the fear of retribution or censorship. I'm aware that many of you agreed and have openly stated that you will never act upon my request. But as an elected representative of our city, I urge each of you to consider the importance of protecting our rights as citizens. I ask that you look past any differences and instead commit to building and supporting an environment where open dialogue and diverse perspectives are welcomed, not silenced. This begins with me, but next time, this could easily be you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The city will now go into executive session to discuss agenda items 1A through F pursuant to Texas Government Code sections 551.071, 551.072 and 551.087. Thank you. Citizen comments is now closed. Thank you, Councilmember Urza.
We are adjourned. Good evening, everyone. The time is 7:09 p.m. It is Tuesday, June the 3rd. I'm going to call this regularly scheduled City Council meeting to order. Would all please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The City Secretary, please call the roll.
Mitchell,
Here.
Heiser,
Here.
Rizzo. Present. Zuniga,
Present.
Harris,
Here.
McKinney. Tobias.
Present.
All right, all members are present. Excuse me. All right, we have a lot of folks here, so we got a couple presentations that we want to do right off the bat. The first is recognition of the graduates of 2025 Team Kyle Academy. We're going to start with Miss Rachel Saunier.
All right, Rachel Saunier, Assistant Director of Communications. For the record, I am very, very proud tonight to present the 2025 class of Team Kyle Academy. As you can see, they're all sitting back here in their wonderful shirts. I'm going to read them off one by one here in a second, but I want to take a second here to kind of recognize what these folks did and how they're getting their certificates tonight. So we launched TKA in April this year. We had 6 different classes. They lost about 2.5 to 3 hours each Monday night, starting in April and going through May, and they have now finally made it through to those 6 courses. And it included everything from our founders, our history, the organization of the city, how we work with different jurisdictions all over the place to get things done, finance, utility billing, 311, how CIP projects work, public works, transportation, communications, library services, parks, all of it. So I would consider all 21 graduates we have here tonight experts on the city in their own way. They also completed field day credits. They had to get 3, and it included volunteering for different city events. It included attending city council and board meetings. It also included just attending them and enjoying them. So I'm here to present our 2025 class. First up, I have Julia Fishback. Julia here tonight?
We're going to have them come up front.
Yes. Oh,
All right.
if you would come up front if you are a graduate. Sorry, we will
Yes.
present
When
you with
you're-
your certificate and then take a photo.
All right, we're going to have to do like the lineup thing here. All right, go
Can
ahead.
we get someone to hand those out while he takes photos? Or is he going to do one photo at the end?
At
Okay,
the very
cool.
end, we'll get
Okay.
everyone lined up. And Julia, if you'd like to stay up here, well, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's it.
We next have Holly Wilson. Chloe Olvera. Perfect. Roderick Spells. Samuel Countess. Juliana Countess. Chuck Conan. Amelie Rodriguez. Oh, I'm sorry, she wasn't here. Tracy Shield. Raymond or Ray Matt Sign. Toby Brinley. Sarah Onken. Katie Armstrong. Robert J. Vela. Geneva Garza. Donald Yule, or Don. Shauna Epley. Laura Mattingly. Come on. Liberty Walker. Lenar Vargas. And Aaron Story. I would like to thank each of our 2025 Team Kyle graduates. Y'all were an awesome class. Y'all were super engaged. Y'all asked great questions. And honestly, y'all gave me great ideas for how to revamp the program in coming years. So super thankful to all of you. We're going to gather y'all in. Y'all got to probably stack up. This is the largest class we've ever had graduate. So we'll take a group photo, and then we will, after the group photo, we will have some cake out in the lobby available to you and any guests that you have along with you here tonight. All right.
You guys are pros at this. Thank you so much. All right, everyone ready? 1, 2, and 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. Thank y'all so much for being here.
Yes, please. I meant to,
Say cake and.
welcome back. All right, next up is an equally exciting item. Next up is agenda item 3, recognition of the Kyle Area Youth Advisory Council, Kayak 2025 members, as well as graduating senior members. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody, for being here. So for starters, before I talk about how awesome the kids are, I just want to thank staff who has helped to bring back to life this great program. Specifically Jesse Elizondo, Amy Garcia, anyone else? Am I missing anybody? Yeah, that's good. Okay, that's good. And Councilmember Parsley also, who was very instrumental in bringing back this program. I just want to thank the three of you, and I'm a little regretful that we didn't do this last year to congratulate the kids who graduated from last year's class. So I am sorry, and we are sorry for not doing that and recognizing the great accomplishments that you guys had for kayak last year. But this was an incredible year, especially for the seniors who are graduating. The voice of kayak is incredibly important to me and to this group here, as they represent over 30% of our city's population. Youth under 18 who can't yet vote or run for office, but still deserve a voice and a chance to provide input into shaping and building the city that we all love and we all live in together. This year's kayak group made a lasting impact by contributing to parks, recreation, and the open space master plans through surveys, feedback, public engagement outreach, and also the mental health program that the city created, the Kyle Library Master Plan. They participated in focus groups with city leadership and provided valuable ideas to, I already mentioned it, to Hill Country, MHDD, to support youth behavioral health programs in schools. And Michelle from Hill Country has spent some time with these kids as well. So that was, I thank them a great deal for that. In their monthly meeting, which were standing room only in some cases, the kayak kids also gained firsthand knowledge of city operations, similar to what Team Kyle Academy gets through direct interactions with departments such as legal, communications, library, and city management. They strengthened their presence by designing an official kayak logo and promoting citywide initiatives by participating in volunteers across dozens of events. You will see me regularly wearing my kayak sweatshirt, which has a big tree on the back, and the logo looks a little something like this, and all you guys are going to get these water bottles. Thank you to Lauren Lyons in Economic Development for helping usher that forward. So with that, I just want to thank you all for committing your time and volunteering, being the voice of Kyle's youth, and proving how meaningful informed participation can shape our city's future. Your dedication, insight, and service are both inspiring and essential, and thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. This is one of the first items that I brought when I took my seat, and to see now 2 classes of kids show up every week or every month in, month out, and want to participate and want to learn, it is a breath of fresh air in the current climate that we're in, and thank you guys so much for doing that. It's awesome. Anyone else want to say anything before I take the, yeah.
Go, Mike. Okay, I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule between school and every other extracurricular activity you have at school, and being a part of this process. It's great, and you do have a voice. Remember that. We do listen, and one of the biggest examples of that is the park downtown Kyle. When we talked about an inclusive park, that's something Kayak brought to us, and we took that to heart and we implemented that, not only in that park, but our parks across the city. We're now implementing inclusive playgrounds, and that's thanks to the hard work of the Kayak group before you. So I encourage you to really push yourself to the limit and get some great ideas together and bring them out to us. You know what your peers are looking for, you know what you're looking for, so please give us all ideas, because we've got a bunch of old guys up here. We really don't know what's really good for us sometimes when it comes to young people, so please share your ideas and get excited about it. Thank you.
Tobias?
Seniors, 25, yeah. Hey, I just wanted to say congratulations to all you, Kay, and I hope you guys really enjoyed and learned a lot about the city and everything else that comes along with it. So I encourage you to continue with your quest to be involved, have a voice, and become part of your community. And I hope with this group, and thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Heiser, for bringing this back. I wish you all the best, and like I said, congratulations, and continue to strive to bring ideas to your community moving forward.
All right, so I forgot to mention the most important thing is recognizing the kids who are graduating. So from last year, we have Gabriel, and just so you guys know, we're gonna all go out in the lobby and kick all those old people out of the lobby. And it's gonna be your time out there in a minute here. So Gabriel, who I believe is here, thank you. From last year's class, Emma, Anthony, Mirabelle, and Alexia. Thank you guys all very much, and congratulations. And we would love to go, or to come up and take a picture here, and then pivot out to there, if that's cool with everybody.
All right, come on up.
All right.
All right, everybody ready? 1, 2, and 3. And 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. Thank y'all so much.
All right. Thank you all for bearing with us. I know we got a lot of business to get to, but we're going to take a 10-minute break. We're going to start the next items at 7:35 so that we can go out there for just a minute. Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to call this meeting back to order. We almost hit it. We almost hit it exactly. So the time is 7:37. I'm going to call this meeting back to order. Next up is citizen comments. At this time, we ask anyone in the audience who wishes to come forward and speak on any item to please do so. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes and you direct those comments to the mayor and council. We also ask that you fill out a citizen comments form and submit that to the city secretary. We have a few registered here to speak, but before I call up, I wanted to briefly speak about something that took place at the last meeting. So for, some of you probably know that I've been the mayor of the city of Kyle for a long time. I think I've presided now over 225 total city council meetings. And, if you think about that, we have an average of 4 to 5 council or residents who wish to speak publicly during citizen comments. Something like 1,000 plus citizen comments have taken place. In all 1,000 of those, I've never once asked somebody to stop speaking or had to gavel them down because they were out of order. That said, we do have rules of council, and the rules of council are in place for a reason. This is a limited public forum, which means that in general, your free speech is protected, but there are rules that you cannot break in order to maintain decorum and to allow for city council to proceed in a fair and orderly proceeding. So some of those rules are rule number H5, which says that you cannot speak on personnel matters. And so, for example, if there's some type of conflict or situation with regards to city staff that may or may not be appropriate, or may be a part of an investigation, or may not be a part of an investigation, that matter is not to be deliberated on and adjudicated in a public forum. We have multiple processes for making complaints if you think that something is wrong. This is not the forum for that. We don't allow it to be adjudicated here. We also have a rule against personal attacks. I've never once used that rule because I think that we do get heated in our citizen comments from time to time. And so there is a line there. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Generally, if you're speaking to the mayor and the council and you call us a dirty name, I'm probably going to let you do that. That said, there is a line on personal attacks. You can't call someone a liar, coward, and thief. That's not a debate. That's not public discourse. It's an open and hostile accusation, so we have a rule against that. You're also not allowed to use racial or ethnic slurs. Those are outside of the bounds of public discourse. If those things happen, it is the duty of the chair, per the rules of council that we have adopted, to call that person to order. It is my requirement to do so, and the rules even state that at any point, any council member can demand that I follow the rules of council explicitly, and I shall do that. So we do have those rules for a reason. And oftentimes the reason is to protect the speaker. You're not allowed to clap and jeer as a form of protest or as a form of speech. It's not so that you don't have free speech. It's so that the person who is speaking has free speech. whether for or against. And so those are some of the rules that are in place. And at the last meeting, we had a former council member who knew those rules very well, had voted on them multiple times, speaks at nearly every council meeting, and has now for several years. She chose to take that opportunity to not allow herself to be called to order, to engage in personal attacks, and in particular to reference personnel matters that I have a duty to prevent. And so as a result, I tried to get her to stop. I used the gavel. The gavel was not persuasive, and eventually we had to call for a break and have an officer escort her out. First time in 7.5 years that that's ever happened. I hated every absolute second of it, which is why, like I said, it's not something that I pursue. But because of the nature of what was taking place, I really didn't feel like I had any choice. So generally speaking, by and large, citizen comments periods are very good exercises. I enjoy them. The council enjoys them very much. There is great latitude when you come and speak. You can speak about items on the agenda. You can also speak about items that are just of general importance to the city, so long as you don't engage in personal attacks and or talk about personnel matters or be openly racist or vile. So I just wanted to tell you all of those things. If there's a situation that comes in the future where someone wishes to openly violate the rules of council that we have adopted and refuses to be called to order, that proceeding will go exactly about that way again. There's really no other option if they refuse to comply. So with all of that said, you should feel very free and very willing to come and speak on matters. Understand that we are going to protect you from a crowd mob mentality, and so long as that you stay outside of those particular categories, you are open to speak your mind, and you know, whether that's in support of something the city is doing or in criticism of something that the city is doing. We have folks who come and speak critically, you know, on various items, probably at every single meeting. They are always given their full 3 minutes. We always listen attentively. We always hear what they have to say. So I hope that we can follow those rules, but I just want you to understand that I will ask, if someone does not, I will ask them to be called to order. If they refuse, I will instruct them to take their seat. If they refuse, I will call for a recess. The council will step up and move out, and the officers will be instructed to restore order. So that's what happened. That's the policy that we have adopted, and that's how we will handle it moving forward. So with that, I have a few folks who have registered to speak. First up is Tracy Shield.
Mayor Pro Tem, council members, my name is Tracy Shield, and I am a resident of Kyle, and he was not referring to me. As you can see, I did take the Team Kyle Academy and enjoyed it immensely. As somebody who took a previous version of this class back in 2016, this course now was very enlightening. As you know, most of you know, I'm pretty familiar with the way our city works. However, there have been, you know, some changes in the last, 10 years or so, to other city managers, population growth of, 20 to 30,000, so, but I did want to commend our current city manager, Brian, and his staff, assistant city managers, Amber and Jesse, and all of the wonderful heads of departments and divisions and everything that we have here in the city. They have really strived to make this city a efficient and streamlined administration for our citizens, including with the new Kyle 311 program. So I just wanted to say kudos to everybody and our staff. They have done a great job. And one other takeaway from the class itself was it appeared that everybody actually, every talk, speaker, everybody who was there truly enjoys working for the city of Kyle. And that's not an easy thing to say for a lot of companies, but it just seemed that that is truly the morale here at the city of Kyle. So I'm extremely, glad to see and happy to see that. And lastly, I would be remiss, if I didn't mention another class to the residents of Kyle, and that is the Citizens Police Academy, which starts here in late summer, early fall, where you learn very specifically about all the different aspects of the police department, from animal control, dispatch, emergency management, victim services, all of it, and get to do a ride along and go to the gun range. So it is a 10-week course. So after that, if you want, you can join the Alumni Association, take an advanced course, and maybe even join an elite group of citizens that we have, and that is our Citizens on Patrol officers. So thank you, and I encourage all residents to join up for these classes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up is Ellen Ermis.
Good evening, Ellen Ermis. I am a resident of Kyle, and I want to thank you all for your service. I like each of you individual, but I wanted to talk about the meeting last Tuesday. I speak as current chair of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, and I took an oath to Jennifer that I would advise. And at the last meeting, when you addressed the 1500 Daisy changes in the floor plan, sort of at the last minute, I felt like we disregarded all the professional advice that the city's been paying. I think we paid almost $500,000 to the architectural firm, which is the best in the state for this type of facility. And I just worry that we're rushing and now we're going to be on hold. I also really wanted to give a shout out to our Parks and Recreation staff members. When I went to the state conference, I saw people from all over the state. Pay great respect to them. Our profession fights isolation and loneliness in our society. It's an epidemic. When we did the comprehensive plan, we sort of forgot about Parks and Rec, but I'm grateful that now we have a new master plan, and I really appreciate the work that y'all are doing. I know these meetings get late. You all have families and friends and lives and other jobs, and so anyway, I'll close with that. I also am communications director for the Kyle Area Senior Zone, and we've had probably 20 meetings with Parks and Rec to make these detailed plans, and we hope it all works out. We hope we don't rush things. Thank you again.
All right, thank you. All right, next up is Cynthia Bolding.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Cynthia Bolding, and I'm the Secretary of the Board for the Kyle Area Senior Zone. I was absolutely dumbfounded as I watched the May 27th Council meeting regarding the plans for the property on Daisy Lane. I watched you, Mr. Mayor, in just 5 minutes undo hours of careful collaboration and compromise by the CAS Board, the architect, David Lopez, Kyle Parks and Rec Department, and the City Council, all to come up with a floor plan that provides for the best of both worlds. One amazing ballroom, which will accommodate 300 people, and retractable partitions, providing 6 spaces, accommodating 50 people each. To arbitrarily wipe out previously agreed upon plans without understanding our needs is baffling and frustrating. Your last-minute change of the interior design plans simply was not necessary and would be damaging and devastating to our program needs. You haven't met with us to understand the scope of what we do and the possibilities that can be opened up to us with these flexible spaces. You mentioned portable dividers. There is minimal storage in the plan as it is. Where would we store such dividers, which, by the way, would have no sound barrier? The mere mention of portable dividers acknowledges some level of understanding on your part that the space needs to have the option of being divided, which is why we all agreed on the Max Flex plan. There's no worry of sight being interrupted by a stack of partitions, as there will be screens strategically placed so that all can see the speaker. Mr. Zuniga told me that he was also confused by the sudden change of design. I do remember you asked Mr. Zuniga if partitions could be added later. We all know that would be expensive and disruptive, so why not just do it in the beginning? Thank you, Mr. Zuniga, for assuring me that you would bring this issue back to the agenda. Mrs. Harris, where do you truly stand on this? You have told me from day one, as we discussed the progress of Daisy Lane, don't worry, the seniors are going to get what they need. You're a CAS member. You should know, perhaps better than anyone on the council, that we need breakout rooms for our current and future programming. Yet, based on our discussion at lunch today, you seem to be standing on the very brink of betrayal. Mr. Rizzo, you have expressed the need for meeting rooms, which is absolute justification for keeping the proposal for 6 flexible spaces. We need those partitions. It's the right design for the best use of the property. It's the right thing to do. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Those are the citizen comments forms that I have. Has anyone else submitted a form to the city secretary? Do you have any more, Jennifer? All right, thank you. With no, if there are no further, I will close citizen comments. Citizen comments is now closed. All right, next up is the agenda order. Does anybody have any desire to move the order around? All right, seeing none, we're going to go to agenda item number 4, receive a report, hold a discussion, provide staff direction regarding the updated design for the all-wheel skate park at Greg Clark Park. Mr. Lopez. Mr. Atkins.
Will Atkinson for the record. Council members, Mayor, tonight we're here to receive a key design milestone for the Greg Clark Park, skate park. In early 2025, you approved the design contract to move forward with an upgraded and expanded skate park. And since then, our design team that we contracted with has performed multiple site assessments and have made a significant headway on early design processes. So tonight is a story of that process. And without further ado, I'd like to hand this presentation over to Bill Gurney of New Line Skate Parks. And Bill, come on up.
Thank you, Will. Good evening, Mayor and members of council. Very excited to be here to provide you an update with our progress since we got engaged with the project, that project being the development of the all-wheels park at Greg Clark Park. As Will noted, my name is Bill Gurney. I'm a representative of New Line Skate Parks, the design team. With me tonight is my colleague Jamie Curtis from Spa Skate Parks. He's a representative, he's an owner of Spa Skate Parks, and he's part of the build team for the project. So we're still early in our design process. We will be back in July to give another update, but we're excited to give you an update on everything that's transpired in the plus or minus 3 months since we got re-engaged with the project. So I have 13 slides to share with you. I will move through I will be brief. I will make sure that there's time available at the end for questions and comments. But again, just an update on our progress to date. So it's very typical when we begin a brand new skate park or all-wheels park facility. We have a very well-developed process. One of the first things we do is a regional analysis of skate parks and all-wheel parks that already exist in the regional network. So what we see is Greg Clark Park in Kyle, Texas at the epicenter of the study, and we start to look at what skate parks or all-wheel parks currently exist within a 10-mile, 20-mile, and 30-mile radius of this site. Skate parks come in all different shapes and sizes. There's no rule book for the design methodology. Ultimately, our goal here is to understand the regional network of parks, and we don't want to replicate the experiences of these existing parks, but we're looking to complement the experiences of these existing parks. Understanding that council has invested a significant budget for the project, we understand that there is a fairly grandiose vision for the Gregg Park all-wheel facility. So we took our regional analysis and we expanded it more broadly to look at all of the all-wheel facilities that currently exist in the state of Texas, and then particularly the larger ones, the destination level facilities. So what we see through this study is Houston has its one real big park. Up north around Dallas-Fort Worth, there's a cluster of destination-worthy facilities. And then as we get south into central Texas, in around Austin and south, there's also a cluster of a handful of destination-level facilities. And we wanted to advise council that we have some grand visions for Gregg Clark All-Wheel Park, and we want to make it among the biggest and best type of facility in Central Texas. Another really key part of our process is the community engagement piece. Now, we know that there was community engagement from the first round previous with the skate park project in Kyle. But since we've been engaged with March and April, we've continued that effort of community consultation. Our goal here is to create a inclusive facility that is going to be attractive for all age groups, all skill levels, and all kinds of different wheeled sports activities. That's skateboards, scooters, bikes, even the wheelchair group. So through the month of April, we did a couple of target focus groups. We met with the Austin Ridge Riders, primarily a group of mountain bike enthusiasts. We also met with representatives from Wheelchair MX, in fact, a national competitive champion. All of this in an effort to really understand our end user, really understand this diverse group of users and all the different, as I say, age groups, skill levels, and preferences for wheeled sport activities. Understanding the site context is a really key part of our process as well. In this slide, we see in the green area shaded in green, the entirety of Gregg Clark Park. We want to understand where Gregg Clark Park sits, contextually in the city relative to some of the major artery roads, the residential infrastructure, the educational infrastructure. So what we see is the green zone is the entirety of Gregg Clark Park. The orange zone is the project site that we've been given to work with. And we see how it is, a very highly visible location that's integrated with all kinds of other attractive, active amenities in the park. And again, our effort is to complement that and enhance that. This slide is of a somewhat technical nature, so if you'll bear with me for a moment. A big part of what our team has been up to through the month of March and April was enhancing our base data collection. Since we got re-engaged with the project, we did an additional topographic survey extending to the north part of the site, which was not previously part of the study area. We did additional geotechnical investigation, so we understand what the subsurface soils profile is looking like. We also did a utilities analysis. So we're looking at the existing electrical infrastructure, grading, drainage infrastructure. We can also see highlighted on this diagram is there is some fairly significant utilities infrastructure running through the project site. The two stripes, the blue stripes in this diagram, the north-south one is a water service line, and the east-west running one is a wastewater service line. So we've done a study that have located those utilities, and we're looking to observe easements on either side. That leaves us with our area in orange, and the area in orange becomes our constraint-free development site. So armed with the knowledge of the budget, the site opportunities and constraints, feedback from our user groups, we were then able to start sketching. And this is where our work gets really, really fun. At any given point, we'll stand up and show preliminary sketches to our stakeholders, including council, at a 2D stage. We'll be back in July to give you another update and show you a more refined concept design, including some very compelling three-dimensional renderings. But that process starts very early and very loose. So compared to what we show on the screen, behind the scenes, we're doing an incredible amount of sketching and sort of creative exploration. But for the purpose of this presentation and council's knowledge, we are really looking at taking our project area, recognizing the constraints of the below-ground utilities, and then really taking the design and separating it into 4 major zones. 3 active zones, including the zone in yellow, which we're seeing as a great location for a street plaza or a skate plaza type facility. To the south in the bottom right quadrant, we see the red zone. We're looking at, that would be an optimum, that is basically the location of the existing tennis court, which will be demolished. That's a great location for an in-ground concrete bowl. That's the zone in red. The zone in green is a pump track facility. I'm not sure if council is familiar with pump tracks, but as we look to create an all-wheel and inclusive facility, this is going to be really quite a forward-thinking and groundbreaking element for Greg Clark Park and a real feather in the cap for City of Kyle Council. The other zone is the non-active zone, is sort of the bottom left quadrant in orange there. We want to create a social hub as part of this design. We're putting additional hardscape into the design that is not necessarily active terrain, but creates that social gathering space complete with shade structure. So we are, as noted, early in our design process. We will be back in July to provide another update and a more refined concept with enhanced graphics. But to help council understand the vision, we've put together a couple boards of inspiration and precedent images. So on this first slide, we can see the idea of the skate park as a street plaza or an urban plaza, a street course, different elements such as flat ledges, flat rails, stair features. More to the left, you can see this idea or this notion of street skating terrain presented almost in an authentic kind of urban plaza style setting, which would be a big part of the aesthetic of the design. This slide is also showing different inspiration and precedent images to help council understand the vision behind the design. So on the left side, we have several examples of enclosed concrete bowls. And on the right-hand side, we see several examples of pump tracks. All of these are intended elements in one shape or form for the future park. What makes a great all-wheel facility? It is certainly the active terrain, but complementing the active terrain will be the menu of amenity items. So these are vision boards. We haven't landed on any of these ideas specifically. We continue to do a fair amount of exploration, but we are most definitely looking at including a significant shade element in the design. We are also wanting to ensure that the park will be lit. We are also wanting to ensure that there's a signage element. There's been talk with staff about creating some donor recognition opportunities. And then we also know from experience that places to sit, especially for parents and spectators, even the active users, is key. So we're looking at introducing site furnishings in a variety of ways. Formal site furnishings that you would purchase and install, but through the development of the architecture of the design, we're also looking at opportunities to create more informal seating, because what we know is that seating is in high demand and will really complement the park. Finally, we have a slide dedicated to schedule. We figured council would be interested in a schedule update. As I noted a couple of times, we are sort of early in our design process. As a representative of the design team, I'll sort of share the schedule as it pertains to the design part of the project. March and April is largely data collection. May and June is our conceptual design work. We'll be back in July to present a refined concept design. July through October is technical design and the creation of construction drawings, leaving the door open for SPA, the construction team, to initiate construction. And we are looking at breaking ground before the end of 2025.
Wow, that's very good. Very exciting. Does anybody have any comments for the presenter or questions? Councilman Rizzo.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for all the information and for going back and getting more community input. Look, I'm really excited about this park, the size of the skate park, and all the programming around it. But the All Wheels is something that came to us via email for someone that was looking for an all-inclusive all-wheels park, and to take that information for you all to sit down and talk to this individual and his family and get all that input was really important. So thank you all for taking time to do that and meeting and taking them serious is one of the biggest things. Just like all our parks, we're trying to make our parks for everyone, make it very inclusive, make it enjoyable for everyone, and this concept does that. I'm really excited to see it moving forward, to see the all wheels elements amazing. I look forward to going out there and sitting down and watching everybody enjoy this park and have a great time. Looking at the lighting, the shade structures, I'm really excited about that. Take your time, do a really good job on this one. Let's give the residents of Kyle something to be proud of. Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Councilman Harris.
Couple of things. I wish this has been available when I was taking my grandkids to Buda and San Marcos. And, theirs are not anywhere in this class. I was wondering if there are materials that can be used for the skate park that are don't hold heat as much, that are cooler materials.
Interesting question. I mean, we will be using primarily concrete as the main surface. We have lots of opportunity to introduce different aesthetics. So it won't be just a simple plain gray concrete. We can introduce elements of integral color and do different features in the park with different integral color. The ramp elements, the ledge elements, et cetera, to create some visual interest. And also, the plain white concrete is very reflective of the sun, but the darker colors would be less so. Concrete will be our primary building material. It will be broken up with green spaces and shade opportunities.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Zuniga.
You touched on my question there. I'm curious to see how the shade is going to work with the park. So are you thinking about like shading where people are sitting or shading over some of the skate areas? Like, how does that work?
Well, our target footprint is somewhere between, we're going to say 30 to 35,000 square feet. It would be very costly to shade that entire area. So in response to that, what we're looking at doing is creating, very intentionally, specific area of the plan. We're calling it the social space or the hub. That's where the shade opportunity would be. And it might not be shade directly over the active terrain or footprint, but it would be very, very closely associated so that anybody sitting in that social hub under the shade has a good visual accessibility of all the different activity areas in the all-wheel park.
And you touched on something, and Councilmember Harris, I appreciate you saying that. With today's technology and the paint color schemes out there, that's going to be a big difference on the reflective heat coming off of the concrete. So that's going to be really big. But even with trees of adequate size, putting them in strategic areas that'll shade earlier in the afternoon is going to be important as well. So keeping all those concepts in mind would be great.
Do you worry that trees, when they shed, get in the way of skateboards and those wheels?
I don't think you put them that close.
Yeah, not that close.
Just taller.
But shade structure.
Further and taller.
Yeah. Councilman Harris.
I imagine, and I have no expertise in the design of skate parks, but I imagine that you cannot shade the skate areas too much because then you end up with shade and sun and vision problems between the two?
That is true. You'll want a uniform experience of lighting and sort of aesthetic as you move through the park. But at the same time, recognizing how vital shade elements are. So they might not be directly associated with the active terrain, but it will be in a place that's like very immediately adjacent.
Yeah, I noticed it, especially in the San Marcos Park, that sometimes when it was really, really sunny, it was really hard for the kids to actually see the drops.
Yes.
Because everything was reflecting light.
Yes. And there's only so much you can do to control that. But, you know, creating specific shade zones is going to be one treatment that we use.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Tobias.
I just look at the shade aspect of during a rest period. So, you know, you got to be able to have it open, in my opinion, you know, and when it's time for the skaters or the bikers to rest, that's where you would have the shade on it. And it's kind of like any other sport, you know, that's why you have dugouts and that's why you have field houses. But when you're out there playing on the field, whether it's hot sun, we've got to understand that we live in Texas and we're going to have outdoor activities. It's going to get hot or it's going to get cold. So a shade, the way I look at it is, should be strategically placed to where skaters can be able to go and utilize it, but not too much of an interference too close to where people are in the process of their activities.
Exactly.
And I know that you're looking at specific type of seating. I know there's a difference between rock seating and then metal and then the coated type of aluminum on there. I'm sure you'll give us different feedback on what would be best for specific types of temperatures that could get up to over 100 and so forth.
Absolutely. We'll be working closely with staff in the selection of the site furnishing pieces. And in addition to that, we really want to explore a lot of different opportunities to put a lot of seating opportunities and a variety of seating opportunities in the design.
Anyone else? All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next up is agenda item number 5, receive a report regarding the installation of G-Fiber, known as Google Fiber, in the city of Kyle. Mr. Trimble.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mike Trimble, Director of Transportation and Public Works. Staff has been working with Google Fiber on their implementation approach over the last couple of months, and I think we're getting close. And so we have John Michael Cortez with Google Fiber to talk to you about their implementation and answer any questions you may have.
Mayor, Council, thank you for the opportunity, and to the staff, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. We were here a while back with the approval of the right-of-way agreement, and I think a little bit before that to talk a little bit about our program. But as Mr. Trimble mentioned, we're getting very, very close to actually getting started. So we thought it'd be a good idea to just check back in and also to start to talk in a little bit more specifics about the actual construction process. So that folks know what to expect, and so that if they have any questions or concerns, they'll know whose neck to grab. And so with that, we'll go ahead and get into it. I assume I can use this thing here. Again, John Michael Cortez with Google Fiber, also known as G-Fiber. A little bit of context, G-Fiber, what we're all about. We're different in a lot of different ways, in many ways from other internet service providers. We really are mission-driven to help communities get access to the best of the internet that's fast and reliable and fairly priced. We've been at it for quite a while. We're generally regarded as a pretty good operator. We are the fortunate recipient of a number of accolades and national awards. Won our second J.D. Power Award here in the South. And several other independent validators of the quality of our service. Just found out that, I think I found out this morning, that we now are the 4-time winner of the Reader's Choice Award for the best internet service provider in the country by readers of PC magazine, which is really kind of cool because we're not in all of the country. So the folks where we are able to serve with our service really do appreciate what we do. This has changed a little bit since we first started our conversation about expanding our service to the city of Kyle. We've long offered a 1 gigabit symmetrical service and for quite a while a 2 gigabit internet service for residents. We now offer 5 and 8 gig service, which is really, really fast. One thing of note, and one of the reasons why I think our customers and our communities appreciate us, back when we launched in 2012 with our 1 gigabit symmetrical service, which everybody thought was crazy, there's no way anybody needs that much speed. Now everybody offers it almost. It's been the same price for since 2012. So over 10 years, we've never changed that price and have no intent to do so. Our pricing, again, is transparent. That includes no contracts, no other hidden fees, and all your equipment. It's all loaded up into that one simple price. We now offer business products as well, which are a great value for our small and medium-sized businesses in the communities we serve, offering a 1 gigabit and now 2 gigabit service for a pretty reasonable price for the businesses here in Kyle. So, as you know, we've been growing. We are serving customers today in the city of Austin, Sunset Valley, unincorporated portions of Travis County, and the city of Round Rock. We're just about done with building out just the entirety of the corporate limits of the city of Austin. And by the end of this year, we'll be done. We've already built out all of Sunset Valley, quite a bit of Travis County outside of the municipal limits of the city of Austin. And by the end of this year, we intend to be done building out all of Round Rock, Texas. And coming soon, we look forward to either we're under construction or we're about to start construction in a number of other Central Texas communities, including the city of Kyle, where we're very, very close. So just diving down a little bit more on how we got to here with Kyle. We've been having conversations since probably since sometime in 2023, which culminated in the approval of a right-of-way agreement for G-Fiber in September of 2024. Just last week, we submitted our first permit for the start of construction. I did get clarification today that wasn't actually a permit for the city of Kyle. It was for TxDOT right-of-way so that we could get into the city of Kyle. But our next permit set of permits are supposed to go in the coming days, and certainly quite a few by the end of June is our intent. And assuming we work those through with your staff, and we spent a lot of time and really appreciate the efforts of the staff to make sure we were aligned on all the details before we started the permitting process so that we don't have a bunch of unnecessary cycles and we all know what to expect. But our hope is that later this summer we have our first permits for construction approved, and then shortly thereafter we will start construction towards the end of the summer, hopefully sooner than that. That there's a little picture of when we had a groundbreaking in the city of Round Rock last year, and we hope to have something similar here in the city of Kyle. And our intent is to start actually serving customers. As we build out our network, we will turn parts of it on and open it up for signups for people to be connected to our network, and we intend to start that in the spring of 2026 and move quickly that entire time and hopefully be fully built out within a matter of a couple of years. So again, since we are getting close to the start of construction, we wanted to, again, dive in a little deeper on what folks can expect with construction. Now, I think the first time I was before this body, we got some questions and some comments about some earlier fiber deployments. Again, we do things differently. We have a goal of not only building our network, it's construction, so it sounds kind of weird to say this, but our goal is to delight the residents, to surprise them, to delight them with our construction activity, of course, by being as safe as possible, but as clean, as fast, and as minimally disruptive as we possibly can. We want folks to be delighted because we want them to be enthusiastic customers. And if we come through and we tear everything up and make a lot of folks unhappy, they're going to be a lot less incented to sign up for our service, and of course, that's not what we want. One of the ways that we operate a bit differently in order to achieve that goal is with our construction methods. We've been using some, they're not necessarily novel anymore, but they were novel when we first started using them at the time. Some different methods of deploying fiber that we think check all those boxes. We do, when necessary, use some of the traditional methods like directional drilling and boring. I understand that's where there were some challenges experienced here in the city back in the day. We will be minimizing to the degree possible that type of deployment.
It was among other things. John
Among
Michael.
other things, yeah. Restoration as well.
Some of it was just the cleanliness, the responsiveness. But, we had folks who would have an issue and then they couldn't get it resolved for a long time, or potentially the operator might try to deny claims that any rational person would understand was the fault of the operator. Maybe they're trying to get on a technicality, those kind of things. We had a lot of that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So directional drilling, we will be minimizing this technique. Aerial is a traditional deployment method attaching to existing poles. That's not permitted actually in the city of Kyle right of way, so we obviously don't plan to do any of that. The primary method of construction will be microtrenching, and that is a narrow, shallow trench that will be cut in between the street and the curb. You see a picture of one of our saws there. It has a tremendous amount of benefits and very minimal impact on residents' property, very minimal impact on the city's infrastructure, very minimal conflicts with other underground utilities like water and gas because we stay shallow. And it allows us to move very quickly and cleanly through neighborhoods. Often, and actually most of the time, the construction disruption on an individual street will be less than a day. And in a particular neighborhood, just a few weeks. So out ahead of that work, we do plan to work with the team to do some community engagement. You'll start to see us out at more community events to let folks know that we're coming and answer questions. As we start to move around the city, we will work with neighborhood associations if they have a regular meeting, or HOAs if they have a meeting and like us to come in and talk about our construction and answer questions. We have a team that's ready, willing, and able to do that. And so we'll be working to get that outreach started as we get closer to construction. And then as we get close to construction in a particular neighborhood, of course, we have notice for residents. We will be starting to place construction signage at major neighborhood entrances. And also, a few days before we're actually about to start in a particular neighborhood, we'll place door hangers at those impacted homes. All of these materials will have our construction experience hotline on it, and that's a dedicated phone number that G-Fiber maintains. It's answered by human beings 24 hours a day, where the overwhelming majority of inquiries and questions and concerns can be addressed. Also, as we start to get close to work on a particular street, folks will start to see utility locate markings. So that's spray paint where we're identifying where our running line is going to be, where our vaults are going to be, where other underground utilities may be present. And often you'll see those little flags, those little doohickeys, they stick in the grass to mark things. We encourage folks to leave those there until we're out of the area so that we can make sure that those are seen. About 48 hours before we're about to start construction, you'll start to see temporary no parking signs on the street.
Is there a way you could do like door hangers there in the area, the streets you're working on?
Yeah.
That way the residents will be there?
Yes, so yeah, we will door hang, and there's actually, that's what they look like on the screen there.
Okay.
They're both in English and Spanish, and they also include a QR code that can take you to a website with other questions and answers there.
Great. I didn't see those. Sorry about that. I was looking
No
to the
worries.
left.
No worries. So again, we have our construction experience hotline that's listed there and is on all of those materials. We have online resources for folks where they can open up a ticket if there's an issue that they see that hasn't been resolved, or they think that there's a problem. There's a ticket that's opened up. There's a management system that ensures that all of those tickets are resolved in a timely manner. You know, it's construction, so things happen. And so we want to make sure that there's resources there in all the different ways people like to communicate. If it's in the middle of the night, they can go online and do it. They can call if they're comfortable doing that. And then getting to the mayor's comment, and you know, we want to make sure that through this process, all questions and issues are addressed. But if for some reason they're not addressed to the satisfaction, we do have local team members here on the ground that will serve as escalation points. both our construction managers that are out in the field, all the city staff and the council will have my phone number that they can call or text me anytime if there's something that's not being addressed. And so that's our commitment, is to make sure that those problems that were experienced in some of the previous fiber deployments in the city are not experienced with our deployment. Again, because our goal is to delight and surprise folks. And folks can, if they're interested about when service will become available in their neighborhood and when they can sign up for service, they can also go to our website, gfiber.com, and sign in with their physical address, and they will get notified when service becomes available. But just because it's a question that always comes up, once we get started, we're likely to start in the southeast part of Kyle, where our central facility is located, our little fiber hut there on a piece of property. And we'll start with the neighborhoods that are just around that area, and we will start to move north from there. Initially, we were thinking we would move just north from there on the east side of the highway, and then when we were done there, go to the west side of the highway. But we have kind of changed our plans, and our intent is to continue to move east up the highway, but also go ahead and start west and start moving north from there as well at the same time, assuming that we're fully aligned with the staff as far as getting the permits in and ensuring that we have enough inspection resources, et cetera, to be able to get all the work done.
John Michael, we've received some questions about out-of-city residents, like, for example, Six Creeks. They've asked whether or not they might be included in this. Shadow Creek would be another interest, Crosswinds. Some of those subdivisions that are part of our overall network, but they're not necessarily covered by our agreement. Are those subdivisions excluded, or how would you go about delivering them service?
Well, there's kind of two flavors of that. One, if it's within the city limits, but they, if some of these neighbors, I don't know these in particular, if their streets are owned by the neighborhood or the HOA, we would have to have a separate agreement with them. We would love to build those communities, but it would require a separate agreement to be deployed in their streets that they own and maintain. But if they're within the city, we can definitely do that. If they're outside of the city limits in unincorporated Hays County, we do not yet have an agreement with Hays County. We are very interested in one, and we'll start those conversations now that we're getting started here. Very similar to what we've been doing in Austin as we kind of built to the city limits. We wanted to keep going to some of those neighborhoods that are just outside of the city limits. So we have a right-of-way agreement with Travis County that allows us, similarly in Bexar County, we do the same thing in Bexar County, that allows us to serve those neighborhoods that are just on the other side of the city limits so that they can enjoy access to the service as well. So we'll be working on that as our focus will be here in the city of Kyle, but as we get to those edges, we would love to have an agreement in place so we could just keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, because I think about those unincorporated areas that we've got, like Blanco River Crossing, areas like that off of Stagecoach. We got areas that are in the county, but we're always underserved for some reason. But I'm definitely going to get your information, get it to the county commissioners, make sure they know about Google Fiber. Honestly, I remember a time when the only option that we had was antenna ears. I mean, here in Kyle, that was it. And then Time Warner came in, and we thought it was the greatest thing, but it wasn't really affordable for all the families, so people didn't all get it. But, as we looked at the woes, we had no choice. Later on in 2019, when I was elected council, one of the first things people always ask is that we need more options. We need more options. We only had one, and then we went to, so Time Warner was the only option back in the day, and then later on we got the satellites. But honestly, it's really exciting now to have options. So thank you for coming to Kyle. Look forward to getting your phone number, because I probably will get some phone calls, but also to pass it on to make sure that we service everybody in the region. So it'll be important, but thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Any other feedback? Councilmember Tobias.
Yes. Oh, by the way, former council member Daniela Parsons says hello. Because I know she was very vocal last year about the notifications, and which is true, because we've had a lot of those issues with other companies coming in and yards being torn up, sprinkler systems and so forth. And a lot of times it's like, well, who do we call? And then there's the kiosk, or you're expected to get a flyer, but not everybody's going to save that flyer. when I see that, I think it's probably somebody else trying to sell me some gutters or something like that. When it comes to notification, when you have construction signs at the beginning of the entrances to the neighborhoods, would it be helpful to put that number right up front as well? Because, like I said, not everybody may save these, and then if something happens on their street, at least they have an actual physical phone number that's posted up front that says, for any issues, please call this number, and they can be able to direct the resident to go and have that there available for them.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember. I believe our construction signage does include our construction hotline number as well, but I'll make sure that that's the case.
And with a contact name, because a lot of times when you call numbers, 800 numbers or 888, whatever the number may be, you know, you may get to a call bank. We don't know. And so it'd be good to be able to speak to a person's name and have that person get back with the resident on that end. Or is that something that can be incorporated in 311? Do we know? Or to where if there was an issue to where the customer is not able to reach the line, they can go to 311 and then have a follow-up on that end?
Yes, sir.
Where you have like at least a backup?
Certainly, we would have the contact information for John Michael and some of his staff. If there was a call that came to 311, we would absolutely be able to get them to the right place and hopefully have the right information to share with them. So that when they call us, we answer their questions right away. We can certainly work on coordinating on that.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. And we have a similar arrangement with 311 in other cities. For example, in Austin, if somebody calls 311 and it's about Google Fiber, they route it to us.
Yeah, it could be a lot quicker for the resident to do that instead, you know, in the situation.
Councilmember Zuniga. Hey, Michael. So what I noticed from the last installs of the fiber is really large boxes that were put in front yards. So sometimes it was one or two larger boxes. And it's very visible for some of the yards. So are y'all also gonna, you know, install boxes in these yards?
Yes, but there's some nuance there. So we have our running lines that are there at the seam where the curb and gutter meets the street. So that's there as it runs in front of the houses. So in a normal situation on a residential street, every other home at the property line will actually have a service line that goes perpendicular under the curb, and in the area we call the beauty strip, which is in between the curb and the sidewalk, we will locate what we call a drop vault, which is it's about yay big. It looks like a water meter box or a sprinkler box. It's not very, very large. It's, you know, about yay big. It's all underground. And that is the area where if one of those residents on either side of the property line wishes to sign up for the service, that's where they would make the connection to the network. Now, every now and again along the network where we have kind of a junction point or need to locate some equipment, we will have a larger vault. And those range in size from about 3x4 to I think 5x7, so they can get fairly big. Those are not on every block. They're at certain points in the network. Those are typically located near the corners of a particular street, and if there's a home on the corner, we try to locate that in the side yard and not in the front, so that it's not disrupting the view of the facade. They are necessary for us to access the network sometimes to do maintenance, whatever. But we minimize them and we try to put them out of the way, and they're all located within the right-of-way, and they all are underground.
So is there a low chance that if you don't want it, you may not have a need for a box in your yard?
We do install the drop vaults at every other residence. We need to do that because we can't serve one of the houses if we don't have the other one there, even if one resident wants it. We keep it all in the right-of-way, in the city's right-of-way. Now, on those larger vaults, we will work with the property owner. So some folks have fancy landscaping in that area where we would rather put the vault. And so we'll work with that because we got to restore everything. We'll often proactively knock on the door saying, we don't want to mess up this beautiful decorative landscape because we'll have to pay to put it back. So let's try to figure out a good place to put it so that it's not disturbing that investment.
Yeah, and so I would just like recommend that y'all work with the homeowners who already have a lot of boxes in their yard, so that they just don't end up with, many more.
And these boxes are on the
Because
ground.
if they're already, but there's some yards already with very
Yeah,
large boxes.
I know. But you're talking about the top boxes.
No, they are
Yeah.
level, they're level, but that's what you call below the ground. The ones who already have been, impacted the most.
I hear you.
All right, anyone else? We're excited to see you guys get started. So thank
We're
you for
excited
coming, for the continual communication. I've seen John Michael a lot around the region too, so I know he's not going anywhere, which is a big part of the draw here. Not just you as a person, but as an entity and organization. The investment and your reputation, I know, matters a lot to you. And therefore, I know Google Fiber, G Fiber, is gonna do right by us. I'm extremely confident in that, actually. So I'm quite certain that lots of folks are very anxious to get started. So I just can't wait to see you come into a neighborhood near me, in particular. So, all right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you all.
All right, next up is the consent agenda. I have to recuse on 15. Does anybody, so I need to pull that and have it be voted on separately, but does anybody have any other items they wish to address on the consent?
Mayor, I've got just some real quick things on consent agenda item 11 and 14. It'll be really quick.
Yeah, and I had a question on 15, so I'll pull that one.
All right, so
11 too.
So 11, 14, and 15. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve a consent agenda items 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13.
All right, motion by Councilman Rizzo, second by the Mayor Pro Tem, that we approve agenda items 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, and 13. Is there discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries 7-0. So who wanted 14? I know that was, you did 14, Rizzo?
11's first.
I know, but I don't know who did 14.
I did 14 as well.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And Mike was
Y'all
on
both
11
did.
with me.
Okay. All right. So next up is agenda item 11. Consider approval of amendment number 2 to task order number 1 with Quiddity Engineering LLC for design bid assistance and construction phase services of 11 permanent generator sites in the amount of $93,406 for a new total task order amount of $619,825. This item is presented by Ms. Truelove. I'll give the floor to Mr. Rizzo.
Yeah, I don't need a presentation. I just got a quick question for the engineer team. And that question is that during the freeze here, we had generators that weren't functioning. I actually had to warm up my generators to get them to run as well. I didn't realize the cold played that much havoc on them. I'm just making sure that when we're looking at the generators and we're also looking at, I don't know if the scope of work is for y'all to also think about what's housing them to keep them functioning, running, everything else. I want to make sure that we're looking at making sure these generators function when we most need them, which is during an ice storm.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Michael Mods with Quiddity Engineering. So the generator enclosures, they have housing over them, not only for sound attenuation, but also keep them warm. Each generator will also have jacket water heaters, so a lot of the home ones may not have that type of accessories that these industrial generators will have. And so as long as they're maintained and kept in operation, then they'll operate fine during the storms.
Sounds good. Just making sure we were building to the.
I know, you don't want to
to
get
the
them all
code.
installed and then don't work when you need them. So,
Exactly.
yep.
Yeah, and I lived through that snowpocalypse, so
Yeah.
I don't know how important it is. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Makes me feel better. Councilmember Tobias.
All right, thank you. On these generators, they will be fuel-based, correct?
Sorry, yes, they will be diesel fuel, and then for this amendment 2 with the city hall would be natural gas.
Natural gas on that, and how often would they be tested?
So we'll have automatic transfer switches. That way, the operators won't need to be present to manually go out to the site and switch it in emergency mode. Those automatic transfer switches will routinely run them every week under no load.
Okay.
And then there'll be maintenance plans for the operations to come in with load banks or operate them under load or with load quarterly or annually.
Monthly, because the ones that I'm experienced with at my facility, that I work at, they do monthly testing on those generators. And so that way, when it's hot or when, especially a lot when we start getting into October, November with the colder weather, they run them quite frequently to be able to make sure they're up and running on that end.
Yeah, they'll be run under no load every week, and that's to make sure all the fluids are running properly. That way, whenever you start it up, it actually starts as opposed to it
Yeah.
sitting in unused for a while, and then it
Yeah.
starts and it won't start.
Kind of like a lawnmower, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Each generator manufacturer has different maintenance models, and so it could be quarterly, it could be annually, it depends on the manufacturer that's awarded.
Okay, that's what I have, but if anything else, if there's, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item number 11.
Second.
All right, motion by Councilmember Tobias, second by Councilmember Rizzo, that we approve agenda item 11. Is there discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
All opposed? All right, motion carries 6-0. All right, next up is agenda item 14, second reading. Consider approval of an ordinance approving the redistricting of the city's single-member city council districts with the adoption of Plan B and establishing new district boundary lines for Cal City Council elections for city council places 2, 4, and 6 based on the 2020 census. City council voted 6-1 to approve on first reading, 527-25. This is Ms. Alcorn Reed's item, but Councilmember Rizzo.
Yeah, I just want to voice again my concern on this one. I'm kind of really worried about some of the areas that are being considered to be moved into District 4. Kind of think their voices would be sound. Spring Branch being one of them, I kind of feel like their voices would be a little underserved. I just kind of feel like it's a little invasive on it and still not real happy with the plan, but just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Okay. All right, motion to approve? Second. Motion by Mayor, second by Councilmember Tobias. There's discussion on the motion. All those, Councilmember McKinney, you available? You want to vote on this one? 3, 2, 1. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
All right, motion carries 5-1. I have a recusal on item 15. It affects a property owner that I'm associated with, Poco Loco.
Item 15, consider approval of a resolution approving a developer participation agreement with Poco Loco Yarrington Real Estate LLC for requested oversizing of proposed water lines not to exceed $155,394. Jason?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, Council.
Actually, hold on, Jason, 1 second. Did anyone want a presentation on this one?
No, I just had the questions.
Okay, there you go.
But thank you, Jason, for attempting to present it. So, yeah, my question was, we do have a gas station ordinance. So did you look into that, I guess, when this one was permitted?
Yes, so this one is kind of been in the hopper for a while, so they're going to set the tone for some of the other ones that are coming around. There is one site possibly that would fall within the radius of this one, but that one has some prior approvals, so you may see some closer together just because of the way those permittings were done throughout the history and some of their grandfathering on some of those projects.
Yeah. So this one, I mean, I think it's a good location. I just wasn't sure if it came before or after the gas station ordinance that was adopted by council.
I'd have to double check on the exact date on the gas station ordinance, but I believe this one was kind of kicking around prior to. I know this has been in our queue for review probably almost 2 years just on the plan set as we discussed the water line issue. That would probably push that. This one may have been right in after, but it does meet our regs. It's an adjacent site that we have a grandfather one that we may have some issues with, but we're working on that one.
And is it only gas, or was this one a meat market gas station or a grocer gas
This
station?
one is going to be their full convenience store. I don't have the building plans in review yet. We just are doing the site plan on this one. The building plans that were reviewed, I was not a part of that, so I could not tell you if it's the full-blown meat market or if it's a smaller one, but I can get that back to you. Unfortunately, I don't have that answer right now.
And will it also have to meet the I-35 overlay standards?
Yes, and this one has been approved. It's gone through the CUP process for that.
So, yeah, so I do have like a landowner who has been waiting a long time for a gas station. So he's reached out to me and said, hey, you know, this is, he thinks that, I think he's been on waiting more like 10, 11 years for his permit. So could we just make, I guess when we look at the permits, that the gas stations are looked at, I guess, in the same amount of time, that
Yes,
we
sir.
don't have a guy who's, so it says he has a permit on hold long, 10 years.
I'm not aware of that one. If you want to share his contact information, I'd be glad to reach out to him to see what that issue is.
Yeah.
That's a little outside of the norm for
Yeah,
us.
It was the one on 150.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I think if you filed for a permit,
Right.
you're going to hear within a couple of weeks. I can't see the city sitting on something 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just not aware of that. Like I
Yeah.
said, if you want to have him reach out to me or
Yeah, that'd be a
send me
great
his
idea.
contact information, there may be some extenuating circumstances, maybe a lack of utilities, depending on how far 150, I couldn't say at this point.
So this one was already zoned for, I guess, retail zoned, or how is this one zoned?
Yes, this one is.
How did this one get moved?
This one is the RS services, so this is allowed by right.
So no zoning and no other thing was needed here, just,
Well, they did go through the site development plan. They
Mm-hmm.
went through the CUP process. We did review the elevations, the site plans.
Mhm.
There were several modifications, several rounds of comments on this one because of the site itself. And then ultimately what held this one up a little bit was the water line. There was conversations about coming down the access road, depending on what improvements we kind of did on Old Highway 281. Ultimately, those weren't really viable. When we talked to the landowner, because he had already got his construction loan, he was ready to go vertical. We entertained options to allow that to happen. Ultimately, we let them do some site work as long as they were able to permit the road under 35. We, as a staff, recommended that option because that one's more vital to our water infrastructure long-term. So we felt that was a better route. It was also a little bit faster for him because he would have had to wait on some other properties to connect. So this was the quickest way we could get him going.
Mhm. No, I think it's a good idea to try to increase the water size there. And it is as you're leaving Kyle, right?
Yes, sir.
Down that, so there's really no other gas station past
No,
this downtown
not
area.
on this side of 35. So if you're heading south, you generally are going to have to do a turnaround or wait till you're getting into San Marcos.
Mhm. So will there be work with, I guess, the shoulders as you decel lane?
I don't believe there's a decel lane. I think they do have their tech stop permit though.
Okay. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everything's being approved in the right process steps
Yes,
here.
sir.
All right, you good?
I'm good.
All right, with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item 15.
Second.
Motion made by myself, seconded by Councilmember Tobias. Is there any discussion on that motion? No? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Jason. Moving on to consider impossible action, agenda item 16, consider approval of a resolution by the City Council of the City of Kyle, Texas, authorizing and approving publication of notice of intention to issue certificates of obligation complying with the requirements contained in Securities and Exchange Commission Rule 15C2-12 and providing an effective date. Presenting is Stephanie Libby.
Good evening, Mayor. City Council Member Stephanie Libby with Norton Rose Fulbright. Our firm serves as bond counsel to the city. What we have before you all tonight is just a notice of intent that would be published in a newspaper of general circulation in the city to let residents know that the city intends to issue some certificates of obligations. So just by way of background, at City Council member April 1st, 2025, City approved a long-term financing plan for currently approved but unissued general obligation bonds, which are road bonds and some park bonds, and also some certificates of obligations. We were before you all last week for a City Council presentation about potential changes to the plan of finance with some legislation that we were tracking. But that legislation ultimately did not pass or come to fruition, so there was no need for council to consider any alterations to that prior plan. So for the upcoming year, the upcoming CO issuance, it's proposed that the city would issue approximately $79,050,000 of certificates of obligations. Projects to be funded with those certificates of obligations include water utility infrastructure improvements, wastewater utility infrastructure improvements, some roundabouts within TERS number 2, and also lighting improvements, park improvements, and then other citywide intersection improvements. For the utility system, water and wastewater infrastructure improvements, and also the TERS 2 improvements, those portions of the certificates of obligations are intended to be self-supporting. And so that means that those certificates would be paid from revenues other than ad valorem taxes. And so for the water and wastewater utility system improvements, that would be water and wastewater system revenues. And then for the TERS 2 improvements, those would be TERS 2 revenues. So, sorry, this plan just kind of walks you through the outline that I just provided about the certificates that are intended to be supported by ad valorem taxes and those that would be supported by other revenues of the city.
All right, thank you, Ms. Labby. Does anybody have any questions for her regarding this? This also follows our new debt management policy that we approved a while ago. Does anybody want to speak to that?
It does, and we'll be bringing you back the actual issuance of the bonds. We're planning, I think, in the July timeframe. So this is part of the process to start the process to have the notice of intent, and then we'll actually have the debt sale for the COs along with the general obligation bonds for the road bond program. Those will also be issued at the same time. So collectively, I think that's about $125 to $130 million all combined.
Big one.
It's a major sale, yes, sir.
All right, anyone else? Councilor Tobias.
So what we're really voting on just for tonight is just to issue the notification to the residents. Basically, we're letting them know this is being proposed for future expenditures towards the city.
Correct.
So we're just basically saying tonight, we're just, voting to get that out there. And I know it is a very, very large number. It does make me nervous seeing it as this high. But I'm looking at what we're spending it on for the city in the usage. Okay, you've got a water utility system, the infrastructure improvements, which, as our city continues to grow, we're going to need to be able to make those improvements and get some new infrastructure in. Number two, we got wastewater utility system. We've got to get those roundabouts going. We've been talking about roundabouts for 4 years now and haven't seen one really since. So we've got to get that going, the lighting and the median improvements. Of course, we're all about the nature parks and the improvements in administrative offices that staff has brought to us before that they desperately need. They're running out of room. And of course, the activity center that we're looking at. And then including our transportation, our public works, the improvements. So I know this is a very large number, and I know a lot of people are going to be questioning why it's so high, but it's right there in front of you. We've got to start planning for the next several years of our city, and we need to be able to start getting those conversations, those hard conversations, but also if we can be upfront with our residents and the public, just let them know the large amount of money that we're needing to issue the debt on, it is for the necessities of the city. So I just wanted to make that clear, Mayor. Thank you.
Anyone else?
But,
Councilor Zuniga.
I thought the line items initially had more money for the Kensington Park, and then the Animal Adoption Center is missing too. Wasn't that something we were gonna stretch out in COs?
So
Brian?
this is, and Pervez can talk further about this as well, but this is the first piece for
Okay.
Kensington. So in our capital program, in fact, what we showed on the 27th, we showed the entire project and how it would be sold over a several-year period. This is just the first tranche of that. And then the Animal Services Building would come next year as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thank Stephanie for, keeping us updated with this and having a Plan B. I guess this was going to get us there if that had passed. And we have high priority projects here, to benefit our city, to grow our city. So I like, that you took those steps and let us know like what we're looking at in terms of the changes that would occur. So thank you for that.
All right. Anyone else?
And going back to the parks issue or the parks conversation, if it's something that to where we could negotiate eventually with the large amount that we have, or just say the amount that we have, it could be something that we could maybe look at, maybe dividing some of that, those funds, seeing how much, the shelter's going to be, the park as a whole. I think we just need to look at it more in a wider lens than being at a set number.
So I think you're referring to Lake Kensington Park.
Mhm.
So it was tentatively, the budget is 17 million, but if the council came back and said, we want to phase in some amenities, or we only need 10 million or 12 million or 13 million, we can absolutely look at that. And some of these design dollars might not be all needed, and they could be programmed for the actual
just stretch out
construction
as
of the
much as
facility. Yes,
possible.
sir. That's still to be determined as we're working
Yeah.
with the task force, and then certainly the city council, of exactly what amenities are there and the costs. We don't have all those identified just yet.
And that's the important thing, is the cost, making sure that we're looking at it. But just keep in mind that anything we don't build today is going to be double tomorrow. So if we are going to finish these projects, we need to make sure we fund them early. Public Safety Center is a prime example. That building, to build that building now would probably be double than what we paid for right now today. That would be hard. And as dollars, increase every year, it's different. Like, what you pay $8 million for right now is not the same as what you'll pay for later in the future. So it's more affordable, more attainable.
What was the total bond on that? It was like 60 million on the public safety center? 37. It's probably worth 60 or
Yes.
70 by now.
Yes,
60
easily.
$60-70 million building right now.
If we'd said, let's build it in 2 phases,
Yeah.
phase 2 would be 37 million right now. So I do agree with that. I also just want to say that I'm glad to see the process moving forward, but this year in particular is kind of interesting because there is softness in the construction market. There's more of a competition for bids. We've seen several of our road bond projects that were initially, how long ago was it that we had a presentation by Mr. Trimble, which he probably doesn't like the way I'm going to phrase this, but where we were $30 million over on our construction budget, and already in the first bids that we're having coming back are coming in under budget. I think that will translate. It translates across the board in our wastewater treatment plant expansion, as well as the parks projects. There's more of a hunger for these, and we've got them all teed up and ready to go. If we were trying to do these projects even 12 months ago, I think the price would potentially be higher actually than they are now, because there's just more of a competition for the work. So I'm excited to see it move forward, but a lot to think about, because you're right, it is a lot of debt. All right, any other discussion? Do we need action item on this?
Please.
Motion to approve? Or motion by the mayor, second by Councilmember Tobias, that we approve agenda item 16. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Our motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Ms. Levy.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Stephanie. All right, the next 5 items in a row are all related to public convenience and necessity and land acquisitions with regards to cities expanding utility infrastructure. First up is agenda item 17, consider approval of a resolution finding public convenience and necessity and authorizing the use of eminent domain to condemn, if necessary, a .5803 parcel of land in fee simple and a public utility easement over a .1365 acre parcel of land, as described in Exhibits A and B of the resolution, from certain real property owned by Leopoldo Barcinas for the public use and purpose of construction of public roadway improvements and public drainage and utility infrastructure improvements for Kyle Parkway Lehman Road Extension Project. This item does have specific language on the motion and a roll call vote. Ms. Schmeitz.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Amber Schmeitz, Assistant City Manager for the record. Tonight we have this particular parcel we are asking for a PCN resolution on, and it is for the Kyle Parkway Lehman Road Extension. Just as a reminder for the public, in 2022, the voters approved Proposition A, and it was a road bond for 8 transportation projects across Kyle, totaling 10.3 miles of new location, reconstruction, and widening projects to improve our transportation network. This project in particular will extend a Lehman Road northeast from Bunton Creek Road to Daisy Lane and extend Kyle Parkway to meet the new segment of Lehman Road. And here's what that extension looks like. The alignment and design features were approved by the City Council in January of 2024, and the task order to Cobb Finley to complete final design was approved in March of 2023. This is the information about the site, is Kyle Lehman Parcel 5 and 5E. In order to acquire right-of-way, we have to perform a survey and we have to get an appraisal on the needed tracts. We have done that. We need just over half an acre for fee simple right-of-way. It is indicated in green on the map there. And then we need 0.1365 acres of an easement, public utility easement there. And improvements within the right-of-way and easement include roadway pavement, sidewalks, drainage infrastructure, and drainage. So tonight we are asking you to approve the resolution, which finds public convenience and necessity, and it also gives you the authority to pursue eminent domain if negotiations are unsuccessful at that point in time. And so the PCN resolution does find that the Kyle Parkway Lehman Road Extension Project is necessary and required to promote the public health, safety, and welfare of the community, and that the acquisition of the identified property is required to complete the project.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Schmeitz? All right, I move that the City of Kyle authorize the use of the power of eminent domain to acquire .5803 acres of land in fee simple and a public utility easement over .1365 acres of land from property owned by Leopoldo Barcenas, as described in Agenda Item 17 for the public use of constructing and operating public roadway improvements, drainage improvements, and utility improvements for the Kyle Parkway Lehman Road Extension Project. Motion by Mayor, second by Mayor Pro Tem. Is there discussion on the motion? Roll call vote.
Heiser? Heiser?
Yes.
Tobias?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Rizzo?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Zuniga?
Yes.
All right, motion carries 7-0. Next up is agenda item number 18. Consider approval of a resolution finding public convenience and necessity and authorizing the use of eminent domain to condemn, if necessary, a public utility easement over a 986 square foot parcel of land as described in Exhibit A to the resolution from certain real property owned by Ronald Lee Devine and Barry Lynn Devine for the public use and purpose of construction of public drainage and utility infrastructure improvements for the Kyle Parkway Lehman Road Extension Project. This item also has a roll call vote and specific motion language. Ms. Schmeitz.
Good evening again. Amber Schmeitz, Assistant City Manager for the record, for the public that's watching. This also is another PCN. I won't go through all the details since we went through it in the last item, but this parcel is also connected to the Kyle Parkway Lehman Road Extension. Here's a reminder of what happened in 2022, and the voters approved the Proposition A for our reconstruction and new road projects. This is what the project looks like at Kyle Lehman. This particular parcel is Kyle Lehman Parcel 6E. We need a public utility easement in the amount of 986 square feet, and then we are going to use that for drainage infrastructure and then also for grading. And we would ask that you approve the PCN.
All right, does anybody have any questions from Ms. Schmeitz? All right, I'd like to move that the City of Kyle authorize the use of the power of eminent domain to acquire a public utility easement over 986 square feet of land from property owned by Ronald Lee Devine and Barry Lynn Devine, as described in Agenda Item 18 for the public use of constructing and operating public drainage improvements and utility improvements for the Kyle Parkway Lehman Road Extension Project.
Second.
All right, motion by Mayor, seconded by Councilmember Harris. Is there discussion on the motion? Roll call vote.
Harris?
Yes.
Zuniga?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Tobias?
Yes.
Heiser?
Yes.
Rizzo?
Yes.
McKinney?
All right, motion passes 7-0. All right, next up is agenda item number 19. Consider approval of a resolution finding public convenience and necessity and authorizing the use of eminent domain to condemn, if necessary, a 1,930 square foot parcel of land and fee simple and a public utility easement over a 6,491 square foot parcel of land as described in Exhibits A and A1 to the resolution from certain real property owned by Back Bunton Kyle LLC for the public use and purpose of construction of public roadway improvements and public drainage and utility infrastructure improvements for the Bunton Creek Road Improvement Project. This item requires a roll call vote and has specific motion language. Ms. Schmeitz.
Yes, again, this is a PCN, and this particular parcel that we are asking for a PCN on is on the Bunton Creek Road project. Just for the council's memory, this project involves reconstructing and widening a 1.2-mile section of existing roadway into a 4-lane minor arterial extending from Lehman Road to Porter Cove. And here's what that alignment looks like. The alignment and design features were approved by council in January of 2024. The task order to BGE to complete preliminary design was approved in March of 2023. And the task order to BGE to complete final design was approved in April of 2024. This is the site information. It's called Bunton Creek Parcel 7 and 7E. We need just shy of 2,000 square feet of fee simple right-of-way, and then a little over 6,000 square feet of public utility easement, and then improvements within the right-of-way and easement include grading, drainage improvements, and utility undergrounding. And we would ask that you would approve the PCN.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Ms. Schmeitz? I move that the City of Kyle authorize the use of the power of eminent domain to acquire 1,930 square feet of land in fee simple and a public utility easement over 6,491 square feet of land from property owned by Back Bunton Kyle LLC as described in agenda item 19 for the public use of constructing and operating public roadway improvements, drainage improvements, and utility improvements for the Bunton Creek Road Improvement Project.
Second.
Motion by the mayor, second by Councilmember Harris. Is there discussion on the motion? Roll call vote.
Rizzo,
Aye.
McKinney. Yes. Zuniga,
Aye.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Heiser,
Yes.
Tobias,
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
All right, motion carries 7-0. Next up is agenda items 20 and 21. We're being requested to bring these items up together. Agenda item 20, consider approval of a resolution finding public convenience and necessity and authorizing the use of eminent domain to condemn, if necessary, a 3,399 square foot parcel of land in fee simple as described in Exhibit A to the resolution from certain real property owned by Kyle Business Park LP for the public use and purpose of construction of public roadway improvements and public drainage and utility infrastructure improvements for the BB Road West Roadway Improvement Project. And agenda item 21, consider approval of a resolution finding public convenience and necessity and authorizing the use of eminent domain to condemn, if necessary, a 38,911 square foot parcel of land in fee simple as described in Exhibit A to the resolution from certain real property owned by Kyle Business Park LP for the public use and purpose of construction of public roadway improvements and public drainage and utility infrastructure improvements for the BB Road West Roadway Improvement Project. Ms. Schmeitz.
These parcels are on the BB Road Improvement Project. This project will improve BB Road from I-35 frontage road to east of Republic Drive. Here's what that alignment looks like. Those design features and the alignment were approved by council in January of 2024. The task order to American Structure Point to complete preliminary design was approved in March of 2023. And then the task order to American Structure Point to complete final design was approved in March of 2024. Here is the site information. It's BB Road, parcel 11. Our property interests include fee simple right-of-way of just shy of 3,400 square feet. And improvements within the right-of-way include sidewalk grading, roadway reconstruction, and we ask that you approve the PCN.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Ms. Schmeitz? I move that the City of Kyle authorize the use of the power of eminent domain to acquire 3,399 square feet of land and 38,911 square feet of land in fee simple from properties owned by Kyle Business Park LP as described in agenda items 20 and 21 for the public use of constructing and operating public roadway improvements, drainage improvements, and utility improvements for the BB Road West Roadway Improvement Project. Second. Motion by Mayor, second by the Mayor Pro Tem that we approve agenda items 20 and 21. Is there discussion on the motion? Councilor Tobias.
This is in my area, and we need to get these roads done now. So I support this. And I know it's this process, but my gosh, it's been a long time coming. So, yes.
Amen.
Anyone else? A roll call vote?
Mitchell,
Yes.
Heiser,
Yep.
Rizzo,
Aye.
Harris,
Yes.
Tobias,
Yes.
McKinney. Zuniga.
Yes.
All right, motion carries 7-0. All right, we get through that part of it. Next up is agenda item number 22. Consider approval of a contract with Global Payments DBA Open Edge approving rates for processing fees associated with citywide credit card transactions for a period of 1 year with 5 one-year extension options. Ms. Truelove.
Good evening. So just to provide a little bit of history on this particular agreement, Global Payments, or Open Edge, is the city's credit card processor. So if someone comes in to pay a fee or logs in to pay a fee or a bill and they use their credit card, it goes through Global Payments or Open Edge. This is used by utility billing, Muni Court, Code Development Services, and Parks under varying fee structures. So each of the organizations that we have, or each of the divisions, departments within the city that we have, gets charged different rates for these credit card processing fees. This contract was initially established in January 2020. There are fees in here that are assessed by the processor. There are fees that are assessed by each major credit card carrier and bank-associated fees for the transactions, like bank deposit fees. So there's lots that are going on in these payments and these processing reports that we get on a monthly basis. Global Payments passes through major credit card carrier and bank fees, but they have payments or fees that they charge us, that they assess, that they do have control over. When we look at these today, we look at the history, and these processing fees have escalated greatly over the last couple of years. And so staff approached Global Payments to renegotiate the processing fees that we're seeing as a city and to mitigate these costs, and that's the action item that we have today. So utility billing, we look at currently what we do to pass this credit card processing fee on or to folks that are using credit cards to pay their fees. Right now, utility billing charges a $2.50 service charge for credit card payments. Municipal court charges a $1 to $2.50 service charge for credit card payments. If it's below $100, they'll charge $1. If it's above $100, then they charge the $2.50. Code or Development Services charges a 2% processing fee for credit card payments, and Parks doesn't have any kind of pass-through. That's more transactions that are happening at Parks facilities. And we will be looking at this in more detail as we go forward to propose something for 2026 in the budget to look at more of a full cost recovery for these transactional fees, while also providing lots of alternatives for other methods of payment so people don't have to pay the transaction fees. So we wanted to show a little bit of a rate comparison between what we're currently being charged and what we have negotiated as new rates for these fees. So per transaction, we pay a rate that varies from 2.76 to 2.9%, and we're proposing that to now be dropped down to 1.25%, consistently across all of the departments that might be processing credit card transactions. The fee that we're being charged, again, per transaction, ranges from $2.18 to $2.35. That will now be dropped down to 50 cents. So these are all cumulative and per transaction. There's currently a charge for a settlement rate of 0.83% to 1.21%. That is being proposed to drop down to 0.02%. A settlement fee.
Rosie, proposed by whom?
Proposed, that's what we're proposing with this item. We have negotiated these new rates with Global Payments.
Okay, so this vote goes from left
yes.
column to right column.
Yes.
It's not. This is not an on. Like you're taking it to them and then they're coming back.
No,
with the
this
counter.
is-
This is
this
agreed
is-
upon. All right. Well, I'm glad.
pretty
This is
amazing.
pretty incredible. Continue,
It's
please.
pretty incredible, yeah. The settlement fee goes from $1.14 to $2.60 down to 2 cents per transaction. Risk assessment is 2.04% to 2.5%. That's going down to 0.02%. And then that risk assessment fee goes from $2.18 to $3.10, and it will go down to 2 cents per transaction. And then the authorization fee that is currently being charged at 15 cents per transaction will be proposed at 0. So I share all that so you can see a little bit of the history of what we've been charging across all funds for the last 5 years. When we look at general fund, and this is pulled straight from our financial system where we gather through the cost center of this, and this is credit card utilization fees plus some nominal charges for like check fees. But most of this is credit card fees. So seeing back in 2021, we're about 590,000. In 2024, we were a little over 2 million. And based on our current year estimate and where we're at today with just straight line, we've spent this much current year and get a per month estimate for that, we would allocate that out to be 2.6 million if we don't make a change in how we are handling this contract or these fees.
You're not saying 2.6 is what we've spent through May. You're saying that's what you
That's
project
what we would
it will
spend.
be at the end of the fiscal
This
year.
is through May. So if you look at the next slide, this shows the 2025 budget for each of the departments that have a budget to capture these transaction fees. And that's a budgeted amount of $985,000. To date, 4/30/2025, which is when we compiled these numbers, we were at 1.54 million. And if we extrapolated that out to the end of the fiscal year, we were estimating 2.6 million. And that, of course, doesn't take into consideration that summer months are higher water months. Summer months might be when more development projects are coming online or fees are being paid. This is just a straight line projection. So with the action today, this would go into place for transactions in June and on, and we anticipate avoiding $780,000 of fees for
By
the rest
end
of
of this year, which would be
this year.
1.5 million annual.
Annual, we're still working on what we would want to budget, but I'll have a little bit more information on that on a slide here. So just to break this down a little bit so you can understand, these are big numbers. I want you to have confidence that we are basing them on what we know. This is one statement for 1 month for our credit card merchant statement for people coming in person for the month of April to pay their utility bills, okay? So just people paying utility bills in person. There were 8,694 transactions in April. That was a value of 1.384 million. If you look at the per transaction fee that we have for utility billing, it's $2.14. Again, varies, but for utility billing in person, it's $2.14. So that was $18,605. And then on top of that, another 2.9%, which is an additional $40,000. So those are the rate fees at $58,000. We had settlement funding fees of $22,235. Risk assessment fees of $48,000. So that's $129,000 in fees that Global Payments controls. The interchange fees, the VPN security charges, and the other fees are the fees that they pass on to us that are assessed by the major credit card carriers or bank fees. So they don't have control over those or if they negotiated different rates with those particular entities. So 1.384 million, and of that, associated with that, we paid $173,000 in fees. We collected $2.50 per transaction. So we generated $21,735 of revenue to offset that $174,000. So we're basically paying, with the current agreement, about 12.5% of fees on every charge.
So my only question on all this is, do you think that, that it's appropriate to stay with the same vendor? Because obviously
We're looking at that.
Your recommendation is to make this change now
Our recommendation
because it
is
makes an immediate
100%
impact.
to make this change, and then we're continuing to assess, and I'll talk a little bit about that. I just want to show you what that same credit card statement would look like if we were looking at it under the new fee structure with the revised contract. And again, that drops the per transaction fee down to 50 cents and the rate down to 1.25, that settlement funding fee down to 0.02 and the risk assessment fee of 0.02. So that changes it from $129,000 in fees down to $22,000 in fees. So again, the fees that were the charge that we pass on to our customers is not offsetting that completely. So we will be recommending through the budget process that we look at what that offset should be, because we do have plenty of alternatives that don't involve paying with a credit card, but we don't think that, I wouldn't recommend that the utility absorb all of that transaction cost for people paying by credit card when we have other alternatives. So if you look at our average rate, our average utility bill right now, $159.31 when we calculated it. Under the current contract, we're paying $19.93 in fees on top of that, or for that $159. It's about 12.5%. Under the revised contract, it's $7.63 because, again, Global Payments passes through all of the other fees that they have, that they get charged by banks and by credit card carriers, but it's still a significant decrease.
It's incredible.
So if approved today, this will go, as I said, this will go into effect for June transactions. We are going to look at making a recommendation through the budget process to amend the fee schedule to reflect passing a percentage of these kind of transactions, a percentage fee for processing their transactions by credit card. But that will be accompanied by very easily identifiable ways to make that through an ACH payment or e-check or other alternatives. So we won't only we won't be forcing people to pay these credit card fees. But we do want to see that we're reducing the budgeted expense for the affected departments for the credit card transactions, because it should be appropriately budgeted now that we have a consistent amount. But then we will have an offset on the revenue side of the charge pass-through that we would have to the folks that are choosing to use credit cards. So we would recommend approving the contract. We recognize that this is still a lot, right? And in the fees that they're charging us, that they're passing through, is still a lot. We also pay for the platform through Tyler, our financial system. And so we are looking at ways that we can shift away from Global Payments and the platform fees that we get charged for Tyler to use Tyler as a product. But that's not something that we have totally worked out yet. So we certainly want to see this contract approved so that we can start realizing some of these savings.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Truelove? Councilmember Tobias.
So the current percentage is 12.5?
Yes.
Proposed is 4.8?
Yes.
What's the catch?
There is no catch.
There's going
None
from,
that can be said publicly, probably.
That's right there shows you the cost of convenience.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when everybody's paying tap, credit card, and all that stuff.
Yep.
I mean, I know cash is eventually going away in certain areas. That's a lot of fees that we're having to pay out for that,
Yes.
for the cards to be used.
And if people want to continue to use their cards for that convenience, or if they want to get the miles or whatever the
That's
rewards are
what
they
it
have,
is.
then I think that's their right to do, but they should pay the transaction
because that's
fee
how it is.
associated with it.
You use
Yeah.
everything counts towards your travel and everything else. But then again, you know, the city has to fork over the $2 every time we have a transaction for the cost of convenience. That's not including staff and everybody else that has to process the fees and so forth. And then the additional fees that come along with it.
I really don't think there's a catch.
Yeah, it just going from 12 to 4.8, that's like, okay, there's got to be something there.
I
Maybe it's
think
just to
that's-
earn the business or to
Yeah.
keep us there.
Yeah.
And Mayor Mitchell brings up a good point about.
Well, I just think it's one of those things that you have to watch very carefully. There's millions of dollars coming through all of these revenue streams that we have, and we have to look at them very carefully. I want to thank Rosie and Joshua Crownley for really doing a deep dive into this and finding a lot of savings. But some of the fees that we had when they're a fixed dollar amount, $2.50, that was established some time ago, well, as the bills continue to rise, at one point, perhaps it was covering a large portion of the cost, but as the bills continued to rise, it became out of whack. So it's really important to have it as a percentage basis, so you can always try to track that and then monitor these on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis so that you understand what is going through the system and how much are you paying and are you recovering your costs. And there are times where you may say, we want the convenience and the ability for people to pay remotely. We're okay absorbing some cost on those, but clearly we think this is too high and we wanted to bring it to you immediately so we could get in front of this right away and then look at other service options moving forward, including what we're using with Tyler.
And if for some reason we choose to go away from this particular agreement and we choose to go into the Tyler platform that is not what we're currently using, but their own version of this, it's a nominal get out of this contract kind of fee. It's a couple $100. It's nominal.
You know, I hear the word convenience. It's not always a convenience. It's you just don't make it in time, right? So the city only opens so many hours a day, and do you trust cash in a box? Not always. So it's one of those things where sometimes if you're a working individual, it's your only option, right? It's not a convenience, it's an option. So we got to make sure we just don't think of it as convenience. It's probably the only option. So when we're talking about this, we got a lot of hardworking families that commute. We're still a big commuting city, so it's trying to be. I know if I'm only working in Austin once a week now, but when I was working there 5 days a week, I was leaving an hour and a half early to get there in time. So it's then then leaving, it's another over an hour to get back. So it's tough.
Noted. I would just I think that's a great point, and I think also it's kind of out of sight, out of mind for a large number of customers. And if they're able to just put it on their credit card, it hits every month. They don't think about it very much.
Get the points.
If you have a strong, you get the points. And if you have a strong push to get them enrolled in an ACH program and to avoid a fee, you can see those numbers rise dramatically over time, especially when you're signing up new customers and just have a push for that rather than just defaulting to the credit card. So it's a broad program that we need to manage, and it's constantly changing with thousands of people and people moving in and out.
Yeah, I guess that's my point, Councilor Rizzo. Not saying that it's a bad choice, but it is convenient to be able to pull out the credit card at the time and then to be able to use it. But there's always going to be a cost to when whether it's an option or you walk in, you got to park your car, get out, take the time. But it is a convenience to be able to use your credit card to be able to pay the bills. Once the bill payday comes in, it's easy to just go and press send, and we all do it. It's like self-service at Walmart. You don't see any more cashiers anymore. You have like 15 lanes of go do it yourself, and that's convenience as well because you can go in and you don't have to wait in line. But that's the point I'm trying to make across. But at the same time, all of those conveniences do add up financially somewhere. Somebody's got to pay for that.
Yeah. So we will be very proactive in communicating with our customer base, especially through utility billing, to ensure that anyone that has things on an auto bill, credit card, has ample notice and opportunity to update to a different form of payment, an ACH that would just be a bank draft that would allow that to happen, and everybody will have, all of our 311 staff and utility billing staff will have good ability to educate folks on how they can avoid these fees if they don't want to pay them. So we won't let folks not be aware of the change.
All right, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item 22.
Second.
All right, motion by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Councilmember Harris that we approve agenda item 22. Is there discussion on that motion? I actually have one thing I want to say, and it kind of goes back to your hiring, actually, Rosie. And the city manager, we talk a lot about executives and the various new departments that have been birthed over the last few years and why they function. And when we hired you as the city manager, one of your core competencies, not just for yourself, but in terms of how you built an organization, was financial and fiscal efficiency. And so I think about in years past, would we have caught this quickly? Would we have made such a substantial move to save $700,000 by the end of this year? I mean, think about how many salaries that is in terms of savings. And in the private sector, such a move to save money like that comes with great rewards and bonuses and incentives being incentivized. And here it's just you get this. This is what you get, right?
It's great.
So I think of Pervez multiple times through the years with taking his financial prowess as well as the department to issue refunding debt to save us millions of dollars on interest. There's something that's required in an organizational structure to ferret that out, to look for it and seize those moments early, because every time you do that, you save, in a city of this size, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. And so thank you for demonstrating, and Joshua and the whole team, thank you for demonstrating incredible value, not only to the council, but to the city manager, as well as ultimately saving the taxpayers long run. Because, if we're having to pay for it, our paying for it is from money that we took somewhere, right? So the savings is very legitimate and noticed.
Thank you. And I appreciate you recognizing Joshua. He has been with us since December, and he has been an absolutely tremendous asset to administrative services in the city of Kyle. So I probably wouldn't have found this as readily and as cleanly if not for Joshua. So
yeah, you shouldn't take it for granted that your city government is constantly looking for ways to be more efficient and save money. When it happens, you should notice it, be thankful for it, and encourage it to happen more often. Any further discussion? Councilmember Zuniga.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good catch, and I think on the budget workshop on Saturday, there was another good catch with the building inspections. So thank you for doing that. Every dollar does count that we can keep back in our city's funds. Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next up is agenda item 23, consider approval of task order number 13 with CP&Y, Inc., DBA STV infrastructure for the startup phase of the aquifer storage and recovery project at an amount not to exceed $1,136,901. So now we're going to spend that money we just saved. Go ahead,
I'm not going to say that totally, but I am going to welcome up Mike Murphy, the Director of the Water Utilities, and STV to do to present this information. It's got a lot of this item has a lot of good technical aspects to it, so I'm going to turn it over to our technical experts. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie. Mike Murphy, Director of Water Utilities. So, Council, if you remember a few months ago, back in March, STV completed our water master plan. And as a result of that master plan, this is our first project coming out of that master plan. We heard you loud and clear where you told us that you did not want this master plan to sit on the table. You wanted it to mean something, and you wanted us to take action. So today is the first one of many that are going to be coming your way in relationship to the water master plan and water utility projects. So one of the water supply alternatives discussed as part of that master plan was the Aquifer Storage and Recovery System, ASR system. ASR is a valuable strategy for Kyle, allowing for surplus water to be stored and used during peak demand and improving management of the existing supplies without increasing our water totals. This is an extremely important project for the city of Kyle to start undertaking. It's going to be a several-year process, but at the end of the road, it's going to pay great dividends to the future water supply for the city of Kyle. So with that said, I want to introduce Phil Cook. You remember Phil. He did a lot of the presentation during our master plan that we presented to council. Phil is the Vice President and Director of Regional Operations for STV Engineering. And then also we've got Gopal Guthikonda, who is the Senior Technical Advisor at STV. So Paul is going to walk us through a very brief presentation about the Aquifer Storage Program and exactly what we're getting and what we're calling the early work package, which is going to be a feasibility study of the viability of aquifer storage in the city of Kyle. So Paul.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff. Can't tell you how much we appreciate the ongoing relationship we have with you. We really do value the work together. The team has been absolutely great to pull this together. And again, we're excited to move forward to this. You know, one of the things about about your water portfolio is that you have a lot of your water resources that during a drought or throughout the year that they're restricted, and you don't get full use of that water resource. The ASR concept specifically allows you in times of plenty, when it was raining out and you don't need to use all that water, to take advantage of the investment that you've already made, store that water in the ground, and then firm up those water resources on the dry day and the drought day to withdraw it. The water, you know, again, stored underground. One of the things that you often hear is that, you know, why would you store it underground, build a reservoir? The thing is that the aquifer is huge. You can't possibly build a covered storage reservoir that's the size, the thousands of acre feet that you would need to store this water. It's underground, so it's protected from contamination versus what it might be in a surface water reservoir. So again, it's right below your feet. It's not hundreds of miles away, so it's convenient to both put it into the ground and extract it. Again, it's a great fit for your current water resource portfolio. We talked about the master plan, and as we looked at your growth, it's amazing growth throughout the year. It's exciting, but you've got a lot of water that you got to provide for all these folks. As we've stacked up all of your water resources, again, about 10 years out, you have need for some new strategies and some new water resources. We're thrilled to hear that you're actively engaged in bringing more water resources on. I think there's a couple just since we started with the master plan. So with regard to the ASR, again, we begin immediately and identify what that looks like with the idea of bringing it on within about a few years by 2030 so that we can begin to exercise it. We can start to shove water down into the ground, pump it back, see how that the aquifer works and responds, and then have about 3 or 4 year period when you need that in 2030, 34, and it be a really viable part of your water resource management program. The ASR does appear to be very feasible for this area. We worked with our team. We had several workshops, looked at the aquifer. We identified 3 that are in our scope of work. The Brackish Edwards, the lower Middle Trinity, the lower and Middle Trinity, all of those have been investigated by nearby water authorities, and we think that they're good candidates. And we're going to look in detail about how those react, how much storage there is, what the water quality issues are, and then select the one that's the most beneficial for you, the city. We do want to start with, and when we do implement a well, something that's about the size of a couple of MGD or larger. We don't want to do a little dinky well that doesn't really serve you. We want something that's large enough when we do implement it to actually make a dent and make a difference in your ability to move forward. I do want to mention that we have a great team, Advanced Groundwater Systems. It's a relatively new firm, but the founder, James Beach, and Bill Stein have been around the area for more than 30 years. I know these guys for 20 years. They work in these aquifers, modeling them. They work on planning ASR systems, and they're awesome to work with. We also have ASR Systems, the name David Pine. If you've picked up the book, ASR Systems, his name is on it. He coined the phrase. He worked on the SAWS system originally in developing the concept. He's worked on hundreds of those, and we look forward to bringing him in for a casual workshop and just being able to tell you what's going on in the industry with everybody else. But obviously all of that experience from hundreds of ASR systems, not just in the U.S., but all over the country, bring that to bear and to benefit to your project. So we're excited about that. We mentioned this before when we met. My own personal background, while the time I worked at SAWS, I do have a Class A water operator's license, and I operated the ASR system from the inception for about the first 8 years. So I understand how that works. on the boots on the ground and in the real world interacting with your water system. So we're excited about that. I mean, we want you to be very comfortable with the direction that we're headed, and that you know that you've got a sound technical solution. The first phase of this is starting really with the paper analysis, if you will. We know a lot about the wells that are drilled in the area. There's models that are established, understand some basic water quality. We want to start with that, do an initial numerical evaluation, and then get down to a aquifer that we believe is the most viable. We want to look at the permit coordination. Permitting on these can take a lot of time. There's a lot of demonstration sometimes that needs to be completed, and it could really drive the schedule. So and one of our major tasks is to identify all of that, what the time frame is, what all of the requirements are to get to the end. And then ultimately the first phase of the field work, and that's drilling a couple of cores and some monitoring wells so we understand locally what the geology looks like and what that water quality looks like and how that's going to interface with you. The next step, there's some variability in it, so we work with staff on this. The next step is a future task. Once we do these steps, we're going to have a very good idea about what we'll need to specify and design for the first phase, if you will, of the ASR system and the first well. So again, thank you so much. I'm very excited to begin the project. Turn it back over to Mike.
Okay, thank you, Phil. And right before this meeting, Gopal handed me a little note that said that Senate Bill number 7, if you're familiar with that water bill, that the governor has proposed $1.75 billion is sitting on his desk right now. And one of the key projects that they're going to be funding out of that $1.75 billion is aquifer storage and recovery. So one of the first tasks that we're giving to STV is to get us in line for some of that funding. And we've already met, the city manager set up a meeting with the Texas Water Development Board about a month and a half ago. So we're trying to get ourselves lined up to be prepared once we start this project, that if there is funding out there available, we're going to try to take advantage of it. So in closing, the project schedule details ASR evaluation feasibility shall be completed in about 7 months from notice to proceed. The ASR fieldwork, core and monitoring wells, and ASR concept development shall be completed within 11 months following completion of the ASR evaluation and feasibility phase. To the extent possible, feasibility and field work will be conducted simultaneously to benefit the overall schedule. So obviously, staff is recommending approval of task order number 13 with CPNY Incorporated, also known as STV Infrastructure, for the startup phase of the aquifer storage and recovery project in an amount not to exceed, I'm behind here, drum roll, in amount not to exceed $1,136,901 for the startup phase. And of course, we're recommending that we approve task order number 13.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Councilman Rizzo.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm really excited about this. When I was thinking about this, I know we've talked about the reclaimed water as well, storing it, bringing it back, but the reason why I'm really excited about it is it's a great reservoir. The only questions I have is what does the area look like as far as pumping private wells, things like that would be my only concern, making sure that we don't have over pumping of whatever aquifer we're in. We don't want to be throwing water in there and somebody pumping it out like crazy for some weird projects, right? Something that I worry about. The other thing, the reason that groundwater is so much better than surface water is that it's cost efficient. You're not going to have those same fixed cost on purification because it's already pretty much purified out of the ground when surface water is not. It's more expensive to purify surface water, but yeah, I'm really excited because we have months where we don't use all our water that we were allocated from different sources, and to be able to store that, bring it back up is important. and to move on this pretty quickly would be my biggest want, I think, because I think this would just benefit us as we're moving forward into the growth that we're experiencing.
Additional comments? Councilmember Harris.
This does not include rainwater runoff water, does it? Excess rain?
No.
Okay.
This is well, everything is sort of dependent on rainwater, but what we're taking is water, and most of it will be what we're not using during the winter months, and we will be taking that water and putting it directly into the ground.
The already processed, yeah. And then
Treated.
one other question. At the state level, does this have to go on the ballot in November, or is it straight governor's sign?
I guess, Gopal, can you answer that?
This is Gopal Githikon of the STV. The state water plan includes different ways of supplying water, and the ASR is considered one of the options in the state plan.
Well, I was thinking the money that was just passed by the legislature for water improvement.
The ASR is identified as a mechanism to fund the projects under they call it the new Texas Water Fund.
Right.
And,
But it doesn't have to go on the ballot.
No,
Okay, that was
They
just my
already
question,
approved.
if we have to
Yeah.
if it needs to be on the November ballot or just by signature of the governor and it's
Right.
in law.
The bill is sitting on governor's desk as of today, and as soon as he signs the bill, Water Development Board will be ready to fund those projects.
In September of this year.
And it was mentioned that he was in favor of it, so looks like the government will be signing that.
Yeah.
Councilmember Zuniga.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, I remember this presentation was given to us a while back, right, for the master plan?
Yes.
So there's a lot of it I don't fully understand, and I'm trying to kind of wrap myself around it. So this just removes water that we already have here in storage during cold weather
No,
back to
so-
the ground? Because I'm trying to figure out, so where's the gain?
So-
Where is the gain?
I can explain it to him real quick, if you don't mind. So what happens is that we are allocated water, so many gallons per day, so many gallons of water per month. Sometimes we don't use all that water, so we don't have a place to store it. So having ground storage now to be able to put that water down in the ground helps us keep that water for days that we need that extra water, like really hot summer months. So it's like it's making a storage. It's not taking water out of our storage. It's the water that we get allocated per day or per month.
It still doesn't sound kind of like a gain, but maybe because I don't fully get it yet.
Yeah, so it's, I think Councilmember Rizzo was referring to, on some of our water supplies, we get the same amount per day, regardless of the time of year. So GBRA, if I'm remembering the number, it's 4.5 million gallons per day that we get from that one source. I get that same amount of water in January 15th that I do on July 15th. But as Councilmember Rizzo was explaining, in July, the demand is much stronger. So I don't need all of that water in January, but I do in July. So I think the proposal is to take some of those potable water sources that are treated and then put them into the aquifer and pull them out when they're needed. Those max daily demands is when we really have a challenge of pushing the water through the system to get it where it needs to be, and those maximum daily times of year, like it was the summer months. So this is one of those strategies to do it. It's with the water master plan, there are also surface tanks that we'll have, lots of other infrastructure to actually push this much water around in the system and get it to the right pressure plane. But that's the basic idea, is to take the water throughout the year. If you look at throughout the year, we have enough water, but during certain points of the year, it's very difficult to get it where it needs to be. So,
Right.
Mike, I don't know if you have any other
Yeah,
comments on
yeah.
that.
So I think you guys are all over this. So the other benefit is a lot of our water that we're purchasing, we pay for it whether we use it or not. So if we've got all of this water coming in from all the sources that we're acquiring and we're not using it, we're still having to pay for it. And so one of the great things about aquifer storage is we take that water and we put it in the aquifer. So we're going to have a future benefit from that water. And the difference between storing it, like Paul said, between storing it below ground and above ground, you're talking a few million gallons above ground, but you're talking hundreds of millions of gallons below ground that we can store. So that's the benefit. But it's, like Brian said, or like City Manager said, this is treated water. It's really good water, and with a little polishing, we're ready to put it right back in our system.
So, I mean, couldn't you then, if you already know that you're gonna use more in some months of the summer, I guess water doesn't work that way, I guess, where you can buy less of it in months because
No.
it's all on a per.
That was the first thing we have
Yeah.
explored when I got here is, hey, GBRA, can I get 1 million in January and
Okay.
get 7 or 8 million
Right.
in July? And they don't have the capacity and the lines to
Right.
get that flow of water to us. That would be one way to do it, but unfortunately, they can't do that. So
Right.
this is a cost-effective way for us to do it.
It does sound like a good idea, since you're already paying for it, you already have it, you may not be using all of it that day, so put some aside and bring it back up when you're gonna be pressured at a different point in the year. Is that
That's
the idea?
exactly right. And we're hoping somewhere between 2030 and 2034, we'll be able to start withdrawing upwards of 2 million gallons a day. So this is no little feat. This is a big deal for the city, and this thing will go on, from now on.
Which, just to put that in context, the Arwa water that we're getting this month is going to be 1.7 million gallons per day. So it's equivalent to, it's larger than what we're getting right now with Arwa. So it is significant, as Mike says.
A little more
And
theoretical, though.
there's also a side benefit, and then we'll kind of close this out, but there's also a side benefit while we're drilling these test wells. If we find something that is valuable to the city, we may have a potential for another well able to produce more water. So we're looking at that also as a side benefit to this project.
So what are you doing right now with any extra water that you might have in a day that
So
you didn't
right
use
now,
much of it?
we're going to be using pretty much all we can take, right?
So there's no extra
We're getting
now.
right into the dog days of summer. I mean, we're here. And we had our water team meeting just yesterday with the city manager and the assistant city manager. And so water consumption is going up, and so we're already starting to look at that. I mean, we're looking at it all year, but watching it really, really hard right now as we enter, these hotter days of summer. The rain has helped, but we need about 20 inches more.
Yep. I think Lake Travis is 40 inches behind, something like that, or 34 inches, I think it was what it was. Mayor, with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item 23.
Second.
All right, motion by Councilor Rizzo, seconded by Councilmember Harris, that we approve agenda item 23. Is there discussion on that motion?
Thank you for the answers. I'll have more questions later.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries 7-0. Thank you all very much. All right, last item, agenda item 24, consider approval of work authorization number 2 to K. Freese and Associates LLC in an amount not of $3,842,536.08 for program management services for the 22 road bond program for a new total contract amount of $797,223.19. Ms. Truelove.
I'm going to turn this item over to Director of Public Works and Transportation, Mike Trimble, and our partners with KFA.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Mike Trimble, Director of Transportation and Public Works. And so we're here to consider work authorization 2 for K. Freese. And this would allow them to continue their work on the 22 road bond program. And so just a couple of highlights. We are right now kind of in the largest effort to get a lot of our projects over to bid and construction. So you can look at this slide. You see our goal this year, and we are headed this way on several projects, is to get to 100% design and then start to get projects out to bid. And so, the best strategy we have for containing costs and getting the best value out of these projects is to get out to the bid as soon as possible. And I will tell you, just looking at our recent bids for the Cullerson Beebe project, we continue to be in a very favorable bidding environment. And so I'm really excited about that. We anticipate bringing that bid for award back to you on June 17th. Also, we anticipate opening marketplace and having that ribbon cutting in late July, and also having the groundbreaking for Cullerson Beebe in July as well. And then, as I mentioned, by the time we are wrapping up 2025, we will have all of our non-TxDOT projects, anything that's off system, which is the bulk of our program, will be reaching 100% design, and then we'll be getting a lot of those projects out to bid. So by the time we hit the beginning of 2026, that's our year of construction. As I mentioned to you previously in one of my earlier briefings, we're going to have the bulk of this program, about $185 million worth of projects, out to construction. So a lot of work happening. I know we've talked to you about some of the sequencing of those projects, but this really is the big push, and that really is the basis for this work authorization. The last work authorization is expiring for K-Freeze, and so we want to make sure that we're all well positioned to make this big push to get all these projects across the design finish line and get all these projects out to bid. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rick Klatt to talk a little bit more about the contents of the work authorization.
Thanks, Mike. Mayor, City Council, I'm pleased to be here to present our work authorization number 2, continuation of the program management. So a little bit of update here just from a program management approach. I think the last time we were here to give you all an update, we talked about these changes that we are going to be implementing. And this is just a quick summary of some of those changes that have been implemented. For instance, we've implemented the Road Bond Executive Management Team. It's consists of Mike Trimble, Lou Zhang, myself, and then Harper Minor. We get together on a weekly basis to discuss all the outstanding issues and solutions and whatnot on the project. So the other thing is we've, city has contracted with the Estes Group to assist with the management of the on-system TxDOT projects. We've also we reviewed the GEC scope of work services to identify the necessary services to successfully deliver the program under this work authorization 2. And then public outreach, we've streamlined the reporting structure such that the communication team reports directly to the city. Just kind of an overview of the fee of the $3.8 million. About $820,000 of that is for the program management, directly program management. Going through some of these other costs, PS&E oversight is about $731,000. Construction oversight, $126,000. You know, that number is going to go up significantly in 2026 once we get into the construction phase. We also are proposing a full-time inspector for the Kohlers BB. You know, a substantial, significant project that Mike mentioned that we'll be having the groundbreaking here in July. So basically from August through the end of the year, having a full-time inspector on that to make sure that the project moves forward expeditiously. Right-of-way acquisition services, we've got just a little over $1 million. As you know, there's a lot of right-of-way activity ongoing right now in the program. So we're really, you know, we're getting to that peak point where by the end of this year, we're going to have a vast majority of the parcels either acquired or further along or far along in the actual right-of-way acquisition process. Really, the only ones that's going to be hanging out there is the BB East. We'll be getting into that right-of-way acquisition process, but that'll probably carry over into kind of the early part of 2026. But the other projects will already have acquired the right-of-way. So substantial progress on there. Utility coordination, $463,000 of that. And then I guess the last item I wanted to point out here is the appraisal and title commitments. So I think when we originally, you know, set the kind of the GEC budget, it did not include necessarily the parcel appraisals. That was you know, each one of these properties we have to do an appraisal to determine what the value is of that. So it's kind of a pass-through. The GEC is receiving the invoices, and then we're providing that on a monthly basis, the invoices to the city. So a substantial amount of work just for reimbursement on those. Kind of the next slide here kind of, you know, takes you through kind of where we are from a spending pattern. You can see to the left of the tan area is where we've been. You know, that tan area kind of represents work authorization 2. So from an overall GEC budget and spending curve, we're right in the bulk, or we're right in that sweet spot where we've got a lot of things ongoing. You know, we've got finishing up design, as I mentioned, right-of-way acquisition, utility coordination, and then getting these projects out to construction. So once we've pretty much gotten to the end of this 2025, then we'll see a substantial drop-off from there once we get just purely into the construction phase and we don't have everything overlapping at once. So little quick overview of the team. As you all know, KFA is the lead program management, and then Lochner is providing program management services support, Frontline Advisory Group, Terracon, Environmental and Geotechnical Review, GAP Strategies is helping out with the communication outreach events. American Structure Point is there for kind of our roundabout and complete streets review expert. Atkins Realis is the one heading up the right-of-way acquisition process and oversight, and then utility coordination support. And then Robert Kistner is providing construction materials testing. So, for instance, on the Marketplace project, they're the ones that are doing the materials testing and acceptance. And then Hicks and Company is a firm we brought in here recently to do the tree study. So just kind of a quick little kind of update on GEC services. So previously authorized work authorizations totaled a little over 5.9 million. Work authorization 2 is a little bit more than 3.8, and then a total work authorization to date would equal $9,797,223.19. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Mike.
So as Rick was mentioning, we put a lot of things in place to try to have better management of this program, make sure that we have good accelerated delivery and we're set up for success. And so I talked about some of these briefly, but I'll mention a few of them again. We are looking for any acceleration opportunities right now on projects. And so we've actually been holding cost containment and acceleration workshops on every project with our design teams and with our GEC teams that are working on those projects to see if there's any opportunities to revisit any decisions that have been made to make sure that we understand what those decisions are, and if not, if there's an opportunity to address those, and then also be better positioned to deliver projects. And I will say we've already found some of those opportunities in some of these workshops. For example, from one of the workshops, we had a certain easement that was a certain size, and after we looked at it again, we realized we didn't really need that much space. And so we went back and looked at a much smaller easement that needed. And so that's going to save us time on getting that easement and shrinking that impact on property owners as well. So again, we're looking for any of those types of opportunities, working with our teams, and we will continue to look for those opportunities going forward. And then a packaging of projects. And so, I think, again, initial indications are the packaging of Colors and BB was a good packaging. Based on what we're seeing from the marketplace right now, and I'm excited to bring that back to you for consideration on June 17th. And again, I think the message that we're getting from the marketplace right now is get out and bid right now. Right. And so I'm really excited about getting out there over the next 4 to 6 months with several projects going out to bid. I think we will get very favorable pricing out in the marketplace. So I think that's one of our best strategies right now. So we have our foot on the gas, and I know this is a lot to consider. I don't take that lightly, what I'm bringing forward to you. But this is the big push. This is going to be the heaviest resources to get those projects across the design finish line. And so with that, staff is recommending option 1, which is to approve work authorization 2 in the amount of $3,842,536.08 for K. Freeds and Associates.
All right, thank you. Councilor Rizzo.
Yeah, I just want to say great job, Mike. I can see the timelines changing. I can see the projects going to the schedule that we imagined as a city when we first passed our road bonds. It's great to see this, to see Marketplace where it's at with gutters and base down, getting close to oil. That's really exciting. But really, to see all these other projects getting so close is amazing. I want to thank everyone that's been involved. Thank y'all for what y'all are doing, the extra time, doing the workshops, everything else. It's truly showing off. Harper, thank you for your help as well. I think it's really amazing to see the speed of this now going forward and where the savings are coming up as well. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve option 24 for option 1.
All right, motion by Councilman Rizzo, second by Mayor Pro Tem that we approve option 1, agenda item 24. Is there discussion on the motion? Councilor Zuniga.
Yeah, just 2 quick questions, and thanks again, Mike. I do see the urgency now. The savings are great to hear. A while back, we knew that the BB, Bunton, and Lehman were going to be slow because of so many right-of-ways and easements, but I hear more discussions about them and that we're getting them out there. I do want to ask, is the K. Freeds and Associates, this the last service with them that's being authorized here?
I don't know. I don't believe so. This is going to be a work authorization that will just carry us through the end of the year. This is just to carry us through the big push through the end of 2025. So I anticipate coming back with another work authorization. But again, I anticipate that we'll consider the fact that we're moving past design for a lot of our projects, and as Rick was mentioning, into construction phase. So we showed. I'll just back up a little bit. We showed this slide.
Right.
This is our monthly spend, basically. And so you can see as we started ramping up on the program, as we got those earlier months, in 23 and in 24, then you see it start to ramp up as we're getting into 24, and then we're right there, kind of at the top of the hill, so to speak, as far as our monthly spend. Right now, with all the different folks that are working on the projects, all the utilities, all the right-of-way, all the design work that's happening, right now we're at a burn rate of about 500,000, I believe, per month, but that will slow down once we get on the other side of this. So my approach to recommend to you was, let's get through this big push, and then let's see what type of resources we need going forward. I want to be, judicious with our spending on this, and just make sure that we're doing that review once we get past this big push. And so that what I'll bring back is going to be that work authorization, considering we're getting past a lot of these projects and getting into construction phase.
Yeah, so I guess, Brian, when we brought this in-house, it was to get faster on the projects. And I had thought at that time that, we were going to sever with K-Freeze, but we still have them. We're phasing down towards the end of the year.
Yeah, we don't have the resources in-house to do all this work. Bringing in Mike has been a big part of our approach on this, to have hands-on management on this on a daily basis. Having Rick come on to the team, he transitioned several months ago. I've actually forgotten the date now as I'm thinking about it. But we've also have Lou on our team as well, who's heading up capital project management. All of us working in concert to get projects moving in speed. Speed is what saves us money. Every month is 0.5% to 1% that we're adding to the cost if we're not delivering that project. So we've certainly changed quite a few things in the contract, and we've made lots of meaningful changes to the team to try to manage the projects differently. But we do need that help to get us over the goal line, is in particular looking at right-of-way acquisition. There's I think you had 80 properties on here, but it always feels like there's 180 going at any given time. There's a lot of things happening with that. So we recommend it to you right now. And I think, as Mike said, we'll see where we are in a few months. And what we recommend, it's fluid. We are always going to be changing and trying to adapt to the environment that we have. But the more of these that I can get out, the better, and the faster it will save us more money. That's what we're trying to do. Is, as Mike said, press on the gas. It's go time.
Yeah, and I like the idea of an inspector, so thank you for that.
Absolutely.
I think that might be good.
They're very complicated projects. You have to have someone inspecting that work to make sure you get what you pay for.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I'll make this quick. Thank you to everybody, and I'll just share really quickly. I think it was like a year ago. I mean, Michael and I have a perfect line down the dais at each other, and I vividly remember multiple times looking at timelines where some of the roads, mostly in his district, were over a year to a year and a half behind, and maybe even longer into 2027. And seeing this and the getting everything back on track, and now we look at each other, we're like, the looks of astonishment are that we're almost on schedule at this point. It's very exciting, and it's better for the unveiling of all these roads and Marketplace coming pretty soon. So thank you, guys.
And that's credit to the team you established, and what the mayor was saying earlier about, putting the right team together and what the savings are and what the benefits are for the community. It's really amazing, and it's impactful, and you're seeing it in real life. So play out. So
Yeah. So if I could just kind of counter that, when we first, a lot of y'all weren't here when we were talking about bringing this road bond. And I remember when we were making the vote on specific roads we wanted to do, and I remember when Mayor recommended we do a Marketplace Avenue. I was kind of had a little animosity because, again, I'm trying to push for the majority of east of Kyle to get all of those roads done. But now, when you're looking at it, we're at a ribbon cutting in a couple of weeks. We see the amount of heavy traffic that's coming through. It's almost done. That I can actually say, that was a good move. because that needed to be there to get the cross traffic from Colors all the way through to the police department, back to where all that HEB is. And to Bear's point, or Mayor Pro Tem's point, yes, I was getting very, very frustrated, very nervous. We had people in the residents in my area saying, you guys promised us new roads. Why is it taking so long? I didn't have any answers. And Brian's been to a meeting with me with the HOAs over there, and they're questioning left and right, how wide is Bunton going to be? We had no idea when we're actually going to start even discussing it. So seeing these move forward in your team, it's exciting. I think to me, when I see that, that's called halftime.
Right.
We're in halftime right now of the big game. And then we're about ready to start hitting construction, and that's where it's all going to be, the entire city is going to be under construction, which is going to be very exciting. So again, what you're doing is you're also revisiting specific areas of the easements and saying, hey, we don't really need to go that far in. We can cut costs on this and maybe save us $1 million or $200,000 and so forth. Still $200,000 or whatever it is that you guys are finding is still a savings. So I appreciate all what you're doing, and I reflect everything that everybody's here. We're at right now at the peak to where we're excited about getting under construction. Thank you very much, all of y'all.
All right, anything else? Councilmember McKinney, you've been talking a lot this meeting, but do you have anything you want to add?
I just want to say that my expectation is it's going to move farther forward quickly. We've had almost 3 years now of talk about it. I'm ready to see about it. So, great job, guys. Love all the work that you're seeing. Let's keep it rolling.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries 7-0. Motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.